Hello everybody and welcome along to the live streaming video as we bring pictures and audio together over on the Radio Show Limited network of channels on RS1. If you need to take us with you this Saturday, wherever you are in the world, it's great to be talking to you live from the circuit of Navarra. The 12 Hours of Navarra is our event this afternoon. Now, we were expecting some practice this afternoon, bit of qualifying and then some night practice. It's all been changed. We are going to go racing. Tell you all about that in a moment. We've been to Dubai for the 24 hours, then the 12 and 24 hours, part of which ran concurrently at Silverstone at a very cold weekend in mid-March. Here we are in Spain. We'll go to Italy for Imola, where we bring the GT and the TCE cars back together at the end of May. Early July, it's the whole gamut of entertainment down at the southern tip of Portugal at the Portimao circuit, just off the coast, with the GTs, the TCEs and the Proto Series all together. Huge grids for Imola, Portimao and Barcelona in early September, before we're back to the challenge of Spa-Francorchamps in October, second weekend in October, and then of course everything's in the containers and we're off into the USA at Austin for the Circuit of the Americas, and once again all three series together. That's how it lines up for the rest of the year. Out of the pits goes the Vortex right in front of us, the V8 motor just thrumming away gently. And so let me just remind you how we got to this situation. One of the support series not turning up this weekend, and the teams deciding that they wanted to, if possible, ask Creventic to change the schedule. Everybody was in complete agreement. Unanimity was achieved, and so we've got 3 hours of the race this afternoon. It wouldn't be a Creventic race really without, I don't know whether it's famous or infamous, however, it's Nick Damon down on the grid.
Good evening, John. Good evening, everybody. Well, it's afternoon. Yes, and I have tremendous deja vu, because if Seb spins round, much like at Silverstone, no cars. This is because of the change of the schedule. So rather than having a 45-minute warm-up period prior to the start of the race, only half an hour. Let's talk to Peter Fry from Creventic. Peter, lack of cars, it's entirely your fault because you've changed the programme to accommodate the team's desires to split the race.
Yeah, you could say it like that way. I think I say it in another way. No, at the last minute we had a cancellation from one of our support series, so we had some extra time in the time schedule, and actually the teams requested us can we make it more compact? Can we do something with the time? Can we maybe already race some part at Saturday? Well, we checked what we could do. We talked with all the teams. We talked with the stewards. We talked with the race control. We talked with the circuit, and yes, it was possible. So actually, it was a request of the teams, and we fulfilled it.
And how are you feeling the event at Navarra is going?
Great. It's the first time that we are here. It's a great circuit, high facilities. The cooperation with the circuit is fantastic. Yeah, we're really looking forward to a great race.
Thank you there, Peter. Now, as the cars are sort of arriving, what I think we'll do, John, is we'll have you talk us round a lap of Navarra while I get some victims.
Oh dear. Thank you very much indeed. 15 corners across the start-finish line, fastest part of the racetrack, up to 160 miles an hour, and through into turn 2. Some cars hitting 6th gear before that, all the way down to first for some, through 3, 4, accelerating up towards turn 5. Uphill left-hander, stay tight to the inside, then drifting out to the middle of the road before cutting back for 6, then get the shortest distance round 7. Downhill to the right-hander at 8 is a bit difficult, and you sort of square that off and come back down the long back straight. 9 opens up, 10 is flat, 11 bit nudgy, 12 difficult on the exit, can get a bit slippy, sucks you in that one a little bit. 13 opens up for you, 14 is absolutely flat, but stay to the left-hand side of the road. Don't drift too far to the right, because you want to come all the way from the left-hand side of the road to 15, uphill a little bit and across the line.
Well, this one's going to be part of my memory, because I'm going to have to work out who I've spoken to without their cars being here. Now, I do see a couple of the drivers from the new Swiss team It's Christoph Lenz, who qualified in fourth position, and third fastest Mercedes. But you must be very pleased with your first Creventic outing as Swiss team.
It's brand new. Before it was with the Lamborghini with the Grasser, and now it's a different car, different team, different everything. Yeah, makes fun.
So, explain to me, what's the difference in driving a mid-engine Lambo or a front-engine Merc?
The biggest difference is on the brake. You have to brake much earlier, you have to turn in earlier before you have to brake in the corners. Now it's completely different, but much more traction at the exit.
Incredibly close in qualifying, 8 cars covered by nothing. How are you going to approach this first hour and a half?
I hope no big incidents, nothing like this, and we will push like idiots to stay in front.
Well, don't drive like idiots, just push like idiots. That's Christoph. I can see that we have the pole man has turned up, as has the third place, the 11th Scuderia Praha, but not wearing a helmet, and therefore getting first dibs. It's Robert Lucas in the the Foch Racing, the 29 car. 5th place, but not that far behind on time. Very close qualifying.
Yeah, we have to look to P2. We have only 1/10. It was possible. Yeah, but we tried our best. Now we are in P5. Let's see how fast the Mercedes can go during the race in one stint. And yeah, we try to keep their pace. And let's see what happens.
How aggressive are you going to be on this first stint? Is it watch and see or go for it?
Actually, I don't know all drivers who are now in the cars. And yeah, you have to know them if you want to go really hard. And yeah, we will wait for sure the first 2 laps, and then we will see our speed. And if we are faster, then for sure we will attack them.
Interesting situation. Car 2 ahead of you, front engine. Car ahead of you, mid-engine. Your car, rear engine. Which car can use its tyres the best?
Yeah, for sure. Our rear tires, not the strongest here after 1 hour. And yeah, we have to see. We were quite constant yesterday, but not the fastest. We will see how fast they can go. And yeah, we have to wait.
Robert, thank you very much. We're going to continue going the wrong way than we would normally do by going forward. And we get to our 3rd place team. That is Scuderia Praha and Matteo Mallucelli. Matteo, you gave it everything in qualifying, but 2 Mercedes in front of you.
Yeah, for us it's better than Silverstone because it's not so cold, but the circuit is really tight. So the race is long, we have a good pace, but not a good torque. So we're still fighting.
Trying to get you run over, that could ruin your day. The stints, I mean, will you be running to fuel or will you just be running to tyres? What ends first, the tank or the tyres?
For the moment, we haven't seen problem with the tires, so I think with the fuel.
Thank you, Matteo. So he will be looking to run to the 2 hours. Now, in a very odd way, we've actually managed to get to our pole man. In fact, the guy on the front row with the 17 E-Deck Mercedes just pulled through and didn't run him over. But Christian, finally, released from the shackles of a reference time, you're on pole.
Yes, finally I could show my speed, so that's really good.
On a serious point, is that what you feel? Do you feel for the last X years of Creventic running with an AM car, you've been held back from really having a good time?
Well, of course I had a good time, you're racing and everything, but to push to the maximum and to see what the maximum is in a car, Okay, in the race it's different, because minimum time is not so easy to keep on with all the traffic. But now in quali, it was almost too easy, Sometimes the reverse I was 4 seconds off the pace, and then it was easy. And now I can show my speed, In the race I was always there, I can come up with the front guys if they hit traffic and everything. But now I can show my real speed.
So, what's the plan for the first 3 hours? Obviously, you can't drive all of it. I know you'd like to.
No. I just drive the first stint. And hopefully I can bring it in on P1. After me, Chantal is driving, and hopefully we can be in the front spots in the first lap, and that's our target.
Do you think you can stay on the lead lap with that driver combination?
We think so. Our calculation says we can, but okay, then you never know what happens in racing, so we will see what's happening. But if we are 1 lap back, it's also not a real big deal. But for sure, we want to keep in the same lap.
We've had a big change from yesterday. You came here thinking I'm doing 12 hours straight through from, I think, 12 till 12 tomorrow. Now you've got this short 3-hour section. Was that me or you who dropped it in my foot? A short 3-hour section. How has it changed the way you approach the race, both yourself and as the team?
For myself, it's the same, you know, because I do the start, and after that, the other drivers are driving. But in the tactics, it changes a little bit. Because okay, you have a stop tomorrow. There's another start. Who will start then? And that's what we will see this afternoon or this evening. What we will do then. But first the first 3 hours. That's our tactic, and then see what happens tomorrow. But of course, it changed because if you drive 12 straight hours, it's still different on the tires with the fuel, and it's not a lot different, but a little bit.
Christian, thank you very much. Now let's see if we can find an English speaker from the 17 car, and I can, because I can see Dimitri Engelbert. Dimitri. So Dimitri from the 17 EDEC came happy with second, or the fact that you're pole in pro, is that good?
Yes, no, we are very glad because first line it's enough for the race, 12 hours. So it's the best position for this season. At Silverstone we gave up, but I think it was possible to finish on the podium. So it will be for now, for this weekend.
Paul Lafargue is starting the car. Have you told him to be very careful, or is he going to try and get the lead?
Yes, very careful, because this track is not very fast with a lot of short corners, so it's very dangerous, and it's very difficult to overtake. And I think after 15 minutes, overtakes the last drivers will be very, very difficult, not easy, so very careful to finish the race.
Dimitri, thank you very much. That's great insight, actually. Good stuff from Dimitri there, from the very French EDEC Sport team. Remember, that car ended up in a heap of spare parts after a big accident at Silverstone. Now to the 911, and who do we have? Oh, we have Rolf. The rest of the team haven't bothered being here. Rolf, what's it like being in a three-man team? No Alfred this weekend.
Well, for 12 hours it should be okay with 3, yeah.
Starting, down in 6th place, were you disappointed with qualifying?
No, I think it was good to reach the 6th place, and the cars are quite close together, and so let's see.
Thank you very much, Rolf. We're going to we'll nip back to down the odd lane to the very well-performing 85, the Pro Speed team, and we'll have another. Oh, it's Joe. Oh, with Joe. I've spoken to Charlie ready today. Okay. Joe Foster. Joe, you must be very pleased with the performance of this car. You are right on the pace of all the pros with it.
I think we're still learning. Obviously, it's a change of class for us, and obviously a new circuit for all of us. I think when there's more variables like that, we tend to do well. We're just focused on learning, and obviously, so far, it's working out wonderfully.
Who's starting the car?
Charles Espinlob's going to start today.
Have you told him to be very calm?
Yeah, I tell him that all the time, and he usually doesn't listen, but I'm sure it'll go well.
He's a racing driver. Why should he listen? Thanks indeed, Joe. We've now got, on the other side, we have the 2-car collection cars. We have the 34 behind it in 1, 3, 5, 7, 9th place. And those are the leading 2 Audis. And from the 39 car, I'm going to speak to the tallest driver we have, which is with the performance of the Audis, it seems a little bit off the others.
Oh, it's a very good car, and we are happy. And we hope it's a long race and 12 hours. So it's not possible we are here on the place 9. So I think it's all open.
Lots of slow corners, but we had some on board with the Audi, and you're only going down to 2nd gear. Is that because 1st gear it has too much grunt, too much power, spins the wheels?
No. It's okay. It's very neutral. So in the corner, it's not a problem to go. It's okay.
Thank you indeed. That's from the 34 in 9th. Now moving forward to the 7th place car, which is the wandering around here, obviously it's the grey Audi, the 33. That's driven by Ali Kapan, Dirk Pervo, Isaac Tatumla. It's Dirk in the car. Okay, let's see if Mr. Parhofer wants a word. Dirk, you must be quite chuffed, very pleased to be so far up the grid.
What do I say? I'm not.
You're very pleased to be starting this far up the grid?
Start is great for me, yes. I think it's that I get directly in the first corner. I hope so that I can make one or the two plats.
So aggressive start from you. You're going to go for it.
What is it?
You're going to go for it at the start.
Go for it.
Go for it. Go for it.
Go for it.
Yes, hey, Dirk's going for it. We've got that through. Dirk's definitely going for it. Now the first time this could be a problem with the 204 car. This is the Vortex car, the 204, the Amarouche, Philippe Grau and Philippe Lenza. Let's see who will talk to us. This is a young man wearing overalls, not Lionel Amarouche. Hello, sir. Are you one of the drivers?
Yep.
Your name is?
Philippe Valenza.
Philip. So what's it like, this Vortex? It looks amazing. Is it a good car to drive?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's a Corvette engine with a chassis, tubular chassis, and it's quite fast. It's a bit slower than GT3, but faster than 911.
Is it nimble enough? Does it turn well enough for this track? There's lots of very sharp corners. Some of the cars look really slow and ponderous. This thing nice?
Yeah, we have some issues sometimes to 90 degrees corners, but with a good entry normally it's going to be okay.
Fantastic, thank you indeed. Oh, marvellous English speaker in the Vortex team. That is brilliant news. OK, so now we are at the 73 car. That's the eBay Motors Porsche 911. I think it's at the fastest in the 911 class, indeed. Got a couple of drivers here. I'm doing belt reading, and this one is Marco Feza. Marco, fastest in class. You must be very, very pleased.
Yes, I'm so happy about that. We work hard to make a car like comfortable for the race, but in the last 10 minutes the 71 go out to make 43.6, and now we are decided to go out and do better. So we did 43.4. So now pole position and ready to start the first 3 hours.
The track has a lot of very tight turns. How easy is it to be a car in the middle? So you're faster than a lot of cars, you're slower than a lot of cars. Is it difficult overtaking and being overtaken all the time?
No, so much, because we are not a lot of cars. We are just 22 cars, so it's not too much traffic. There is just a little bit car slowly, and the GT3 come a little bit more faster than us, so it's okay.
Now, I have heard that you were very disappointed that there was no pasta for lunch. Is that true?
No.
Oh.
No.
I was told somebody was standing in the queue behind you. We all eat in this very nice area, and you went, no pasta.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
You have your fuel. Are you on second?
We don't know yet. We decide later. Depend of the race.
Depends on your digestion.
Yeah.
That's what it'll be. So the 75 car, which is the E-Deck Porsche, and let me see if we have a young gentleman. We can split two guys in the car. I'm not sure. I'll skip that and come back to it later if I can. We now come down over to one of the KTMs. It's the 116 car. This is the Stucky team. Now, where are they? The man walking back up to this one, unfortunately, has his belt covered. Hello, sir. Your name is?
Ferdinand Stuck.
What a great surname.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Ferdinand, this KTM team, how's it gelling?
Well, it's actually going pretty well. We qualified around in the middle of Porsches everywhere. And let's have a good start in the race now, hopefully.
I would imagine this car makes its speed in a very different way to the Porsches. Is that challenging or difficult when you're racing with them on the same lap?
Yeah, it's definitely a real challenge, because Porsche is a lot quicker on the straights, so you cannot overtake them. But when it comes to braking or corner speeds, we're a lot faster. So it's kind of you fight all the time and nobody can do anything.
And how easy is it when you've got the GT3s overtaking you? Does this car work well when it has to go offline and back on again?
No, actually it's fine. Normally you just stay on your line and you let the GT3s just overtake you, maybe brake a bit earlier, and then it's not a problem.
And who's starting the car?
Reiny's starting the car now, and he also did the qualifying, and he's going to start the race for us.
I hope you're told to be careful.
Yeah, no, he's a really good race car driver, so he's definitely going to push, and it's going to be a good race.
a lot of people seem very resigned to the fact that telling racing drivers be careful is completely pointless. Grid's starting to clear because we actually got a short run. Here's the Huber Motorsport team and the 81 with, this is the man who's sharing our hotel. It's Peter Kleiber. Peter, very quick word, how are you enjoying the event?
Oh, this event is very nice. I'm the first time here and I like that, yes. It's a lot of fast cars and I like that, yeah.
Sorry, very quick question. What do you think of the Palacio de Olives, the hotel? Good hotel?
It's a very nice hotel. It's like a castle. It's very nice there, yeah.
See? The responsible adult got us into a castle. Right, next one down, which is the two-man, Jose Close, Rafael van der Straten in the VDS team, Pananini and Birking. I think it's Close starting. He's not the keenest of English speakers. He's waved me saying no. Jose, very quickly, is it going well?
Yes, very well.
Fantastic, thank you, Jose. There we are. So that still counts. Sitting in this car, which is the 254, which is the brand new sort of being run in as we speak, Mercedes GT4. Not quite sure who's actually in the car. Not sure if he speaks English. Hello, Bert. It seems to us you've been shaking down this car at this event. Is this the first time it's run the track this weekend?
Yeah, it's the first time for me in this car and it's first time on this track, so everything is first time.
And are you happy with the performance from this new car?
Yeah, the car has a lot of potential, but it's a little bit difficult to find the right setup and with the balance of performance and everything, but we're getting there.
Thank you. That was Bert Redant with the GT4 Mercedes. We'll nip across now to our Romanian friends in the, looks like we do, 446 machine, which has recovered, from its jet washing. And driving this car is...
Hello, Sergiu Nicolae.
Ah, it's our Romanian, Mr. Nicolae. Now, first of all, talk to us a little bit about Motorland Romania. Is that where you do most of your racing? Motor Park, sorry.
Yes, there I have all my racing. I was only 3 times in GT4 European Series 2 years ago, and now I make all the trainings in Romania.
And what do you think about the Navarra circuit?
It's very beautiful. It's a technical circuit and it's very beautiful. I like this circuit.
That's a brilliant description. It is beautiful. The whole place is beautiful. Engine starting. Interesting. Sticking your head inside a Ginetta reminds me of when I owned a TVR. It's the smell of resin slowly curing. I think because the engines are running, that's going to be it. Someone needs to count who we haven't spoken to, and I'll get them before the start of leg 2. But until now, with the car's about to roll off on the first, their 2 warm-up laps, it's back to John.
Thank you, Nick. Well done. Just a couple of cars. We didn't speak to the Mark Cars machine, did we? Yes, we did. No, we did speak to the Mark Cars. So I think we just didn't get the QSR guys at the back with their Porsche and 1 or 2 people in the middle. There was the one of the 2 driver teams rolling off with a big burnout of Hankook rubber from the Mercedes-Benz 2 drivers right on the grid. That is the dirty side of the grid as well. It will be a rolling start and it will be 2 formation laps. Joe?
I just noticed there that the grid lined up on the right-hand side of the track. Immediately they pulled away. They got straight across the left. The amount of pickup off the practice sessions is immense.
And we've just had a race finishing as well. It is on pole position. Hofer Racing with the Mercedes-Benz. They're the best of the arms. The best of the pros alongside is EDEC. So that's the Mercedes 1 and 17 at the front of the grid, just taking the shine off their Hankook tyres. Behind them, it will be the Bohemia Energy Scuderia Praha number 11 bright red Ferrari, and that is Matteo Malicelli, their most experienced driver, who is starting the car. Mauro Calamia is alongside him for the Swiss team Mercedes, the number 15 car, and he was very quick indeed as well. Then it's Porsche Racing, Porsche and Herbert Motorsport, 2 Porsches together there on the 3rd row. Car Collection and Pro Sport Performance on row number 4, and on row 5 the second of the Car Collection Audis, and the first and in fact the only Vortex V8, that's Felt low slung car. Behind them it's the Charles Espenlaub driven 85 car, and Max Edelhoff will start the 34. Excuse me, I've gone back a couple of laps there. Then it's the if we go down to position number 11, the EB Motors class leading 991. The Vortex, of course, is leading the SPX category. 4 cars in that this weekend as well. Then the KTM's going through there. They're in SPX as well. And then towards the rear of the field, our GT4 pole sitter is that Janetta from Endurance Team Romania with the 446 on its side, and right at the back of the grid, the 21, the brand new team cars, 20th and 21st, QSR Racing School with their brand new Mercedes and the Porsche. Those guys are just hanging out at the back of the grid. In terms of driving time, as they head round onto the second of the warm-up or formation last laps, a few people have tweeted in at RSL_studio. The pros can only do 50% of the initial race duration, so that would be a maximum of 6 hours here. This is all classes except AC AM. Semi-pro is free, and AM have to do in this race a minimum of 1 hour. 1 hour minimum. That's in everything except A6 AM. A6 AM, if you're BOP neutral, the pro can only do here a maximum of 4 hours in the 12. Semi-pros are free, and the AM driver must do, or AM drivers must do a minimum of 50%. So the AM drivers in A6 AM BOP neutral have got to do a minimum of 6. If you've got the BOP advantage, which I'm not sure anybody is running that here, I'll have to go through that and check. There's no pro drivers allowed. Semi-pros can only do a 25% maximum, so that will be 3 hours here, and the AMs are free. And of course, you have to be out of the car 50% of the time that you've been in it before you can get back in it again. That's how it works here. 3 hours now, 9 hours tomorrow. Andrew.
Yeah, John, one of the interesting things is most of those leading teams are running their fastest driver, but the 17 car off the front row of the grid, Paul Lafargue, he's the owner of the EDEX organisation. He's an older gentleman, and he is not going to be as quick as Manicelli or some of the other people behind him. And I'm expecting Charles Espenlaub to come up through the field as well. Dirk Parhofer is in the 33 Audi, and he's also a gentleman driver. So I think we might see quite a lot of shuffling on this first lap.
Quick thought from you on that, Joe. You've run teams before, as Andrew had. I mean, surely early on you're most likely to get the most code 60, so actually putting a driver in, he's not going to lose or gain anything under code 60. It's a gamble, but it's not a bad one.
The start of a race is when you need your most experienced and your quickest guy in there. They're experienced in traffic. It's going to be the busiest point of this whole race, arguably, in tomorrow's restart. Maybe exactly the same situation. But for me, the argument is, of course, that guy writes the checks.
Exactly, and that's what Paul Lafargue does. So he said, I want to start this race.
Yeah, so he's in charge, really. You do as he says. He's the guy who owns the car, owns the team.
So the cars are forming up, coming to the end of the second formation lap as they head now through the 13th of 15 corners. The Seat Altezza that is leading the way will pull off in just a moment's time, I'm sure. It's leaving it very late indeed. Pit lane entrance is 2 drivers right. They might be going to dive off. They do right at the last moment. And now the pole sitter then, who is Christian Frankenhout in the number 1, the defending champion car, on pole position for Hoffer Racing, with the pro pole sitter on the outside. I've got to say, I think the 17's in a better position here because they are on the racing line, they're on the clean line, running down to turn 1. They are not compromised, but he can't be ahead at the line. They're on the start finish straight now, waiting for the red lights to be extinguished, and now the pole sitter's on the dirty side of the track, and he's driving right down the hash marks. The red lights go out, and it is a good jump from the pole sitter, and immediately from the outside of the front row, the pro pole sitter had to dive across to cover the Ferrari, and in doing that has allowed the Mercedes to go by the 15 car, but he's run straight off. Calamia has run straight off, and everybody getting a little bit too excited there at the beginning of the race. Great news for Frankenhout, Andrew, because he's been able to pull away whilst there was a little bit of bumping and boring. Here comes the 911. Robert Renard trying to make his way up into third position after starting fifth on the grid. Doesn't quite get through. He's had to drop back and settle for fourth position, but the other Porsche going through ahead of Malicelli in the Bohemia Energy Scuderia Praha Ferrari as they add turn 8 for the first time and onto the back straight. Now come on guys, play canny here. That was a very good start indeed, Andrew, from Frankenhout.
Absolutely, he's already got, well, the best part of a second's lead, and all the others are all crammed up together. But Paul Lafargue doing a good job there, and obviously Mauro carrying far too much speed going around the outside, and off he went into the gravel, and he's dropped back a couple of spots.
There's a big runoff area on the outside of turns 2 and 3, Joe, and good job for Mauro Calamia, because he would have been in strife there if that had been grass.
And yeah, indeed he was, and that's why he probably did that. He made a go for it to get by Lafargue, because the first lap is all important. It's where you make up your most places, and if these guys don't get it done and get past Lafargue, he's going to hold these guys up for a good long time. And already we see Robert Renauer and Robert Lucas completely mugs Malicelli because they know how important this first lap is. And just look now, Frankenhout's gone. He's bailed out.
Frankenhout by about a second and a half, and the two Mercs battling for second and third, and up the inside into the fast kink at turn 1. Calamia goes through again. Mauro has a good look there down the inside, and this time managed to stay on the circuit and immediately pulls out 2 or 3 cars lengths on the number 17 of Paul Lafargue, who's relegated into third position, is immediately under pressure from Robert Renauer as they head up the hill towards turn 5.
And John, it was 3 seconds he pulled out of that first lap. 2.9.
Amazing stuff, and that was because of the battling that was going on behind. But now, like a cork from a bottle, Joe Bradley, Mauro Calamia has got a bit of open track and will be able to pace himself back to the leader. The important thing here is he doesn't try too hard to get back to him and try and make it all back up in one lap.
For me, if I was on the radio to him, job done. You've gotten by. You're on the tail of the leader now. Just settle in. Let's just, this first 3 hours is all about staying on the lead lap, and let's do nothing silly.
So it's A6 Arm leading A6 Pro, leading A6 Arm, and then Pro, Arm down to 9th position. Dirk Parhofer has been pushed back to 9th. Malicelli, the other one, losing places in the opening exchanges. In the 991 Cup class, it is still the EB Motors number 73 that leads. SPX is still the True Race number 116 KTM, and it's the GT4 of the Ginetta that leads for Endurance Racing Romania.
Change of place for 4th. Robert Lucas has gotten past Robert Renauer, and everyone's tripping over Paul Lafargue in that number 17 Merc, and in so doing it's becoming a bit of a sprint race behind the number 17, because every opportunity people are going for it.
Listening to Radio Show Limited Network commentary on RS the World as part of the Radio Show Limited Network and Sound and Vision together at YouTube channel, and of course at radiolemans.com as well. Check out the website www.24.com for latest timing and scoring and all the news from earlier on. We're on a different time schedule to what you might have expected. This is a race that's not practice, it's not qualifying. First 3 hours of the race tonight have been asked for by the competitors up and down the pit lane after one of the support races cancelled very late on, so there's been a bit of a time shuffle, and we'll complete the remaining 9 hours of the 12 hours of Navarra on Sunday, finishing earlier on in the evening. Slightly overcast, but great weather as in the pack the battles continue. The True Racing number 117 KTM right up the tailpipes of the Mark Focus V8 as they go onto the back straight and head down towards turn number 9. Now the KTM's not the fastest thing in the world in a straight line, and that V8's got plenty of power, but it has to stop early down the inside. Klaus Angerhofer uses the superior handling to get up the inside at turn 9, and it's been toughed out round the outside at turn 10 and into 11. I think the V8 is still on his left-hand side. It is. They're still side by side, and as they go into 12, the KTM finally gets it done, but he's got to keep that on the track. He's going to understeer off. Came from I think a slightly odd angle as he came in there trying to claim his position. Oh, and he didn't get his downshift there as well, as he was scrambling for the paddle with his left hand fingers. almost taking his hand off the wheel there as he came down into 13. Now to the final corner, and this will be where he wants to. Went down into first there and spun up the back wheels. Angerhofer, come on Klaus, concentrate there. I know you want to try and keep the big V8 behind you down the start-finish line. Down towards turn 1 now, and he has put a gap on the V8, but that was all a bit arms and elbows there.
Austrian car versus an Australian car.
Yeah, it was all about better traction, wasn't it? And we even saw that the KTM just absolutely going sideways on the power, and we look like we've got a pass for position again with the number 29 and the 911 eventually getting past Lafargue and into 3rd and 4th place respectively. Lafargue in the E-Deck Mercedes now down to 5th. Matteo Malicelli though, he's still got to get that done. He's got to get past Lafargue, and like we said, it's obviously tactical for the number 17 E-Deck team. They were on 2nd on the grid and they've now relinquished that.
Klaus Angerhofer is absolutely throwing the KTM at all the corners. He's making his last downshift really, really late, and it's unsettling the car. He needs to take a deep breath here and calm himself down. The team will be watching the onboard footage, as we can see in the studio, and really just want to be saying to him, come on, plan what you're doing. It's all a bit hectic at the moment. You just need to slow everything down and be a bit more methodical.
He is 3 seconds slower than the other KTM, which is driven by their main factory driver, who is a guy with a huge karting career, former European karting champion. So there's quite a disparity there. But as I thought, Paul Lafargue now has slipped back down to 6th place. I thought that would happen. Obviously, he's the wealthy gentleman who owns that team. But Christian Franken, who is really on it, not this lap, but the previous lap, he did a 40.6, and he is flying and faster than anybody else out there.
And Malicelli in the Ferrari, car number 11, is into 5th place ahead of the number 17 Mercedes now.
So the shot of adrenaline at the start of a race always give you just starting to recede a little bit, and people beginning to settle themselves into what will be about an hour of racing before they come in for fuel and Hankook tyres. The Porsche Racing Porsche, the 29 black and orange car, ahead now of the mostly white number 911 of Herbert Racing. That little shuffle went on behind Paul Lafargue as the Porsche machine took its opportunity with Robert Lukash at the wheel to get through, originally past the 911 and then past the number 17 E-Deck Sport. He's not been able to get away and lays a huge amount of Hankook rubber coming through turn number 11 and heading for 12, and that again is his I suppose his what he's wanting to do is just get a little bit of more of a gap between the two cars behind him. Two very, very quick cars, two very, very quick drivers. He's got the opportunity, Joe, to get ahead of those cars. He's taken it, but he knows he's got to try and build a gap whilst he's got some clear track ahead of him.
Absolutely, and you know that the two leaders now, the car number 1, that's the Hofer Mercedes, Christian Franken driving that, and Mauro Calamari in the Swiss team Mercedes. Hardly anything in their lap times. Slight gain by the car in 2nd place, but that's been ebbing and flowing, so nothing really developing at the front. But all the time, I'm just monitoring the gap now. It's out to, it did go out to 10 seconds, and the 3 cars behind them, that's the number 29 Porsche, the 911 Porsche, and the number 11 Ferrari. They're slowing each other up, but now it looks like they've all settled down. The adrenaline stopped, sort of hitting the limiter, as you said, John, and we'll see those 3 cars gaining on the 2 leading Mercedes.
And Andrew, if you're the team manager now, you're on the phone to these guys saying, right, you're in your proper places now, you've dealt with the 17 car, don't worry too much about the guys ahead, just get yourself into a rhythm. Surely now what they want to do is get these guys, get some good fuel data, get the cars. They're not losing too much to the leader at the moment. They're 10 seconds away, but that's fine. They can stay. If they're 10 seconds away at the end of 3 hours, they'd be delighted.
Absolutely. Bit surprised with Aspinall, former Conti endurance champion in America 10 years ago. He's dropped down to 8th. I thought he'd be moving up. He was looking very racy during practice and qualifying. Another guy who's dropped back is Lino Curti in the Heavy Motors Porsche. You mentioned that. He's now 3rd in that 911 class.
Oh, yeah, he was Paul.
Yeah, Roman Wozniak in the 75 car from the Porsche dealerships from, I think they're from Normandy or somewhere like that. They're certainly going well.
Yeah, it's Lino.
Brittany, actually, Porsche dealership from Brittany sponsor back car.
Lino and Carlo Curti, along with Marco Frezza driving. He's the semi-pro driver in that 991 EB Motors car. There was a lot of arm waving and Italian going on at lunchtime about the lack of pasta, whatever he told Nick, because I was standing behind them in the queue. The 11 car, Matteo Malicelli, has now settled in. He lost a couple of places early. He was trying, it's that
look at that.
Possible pass at turn number 5, round the outside, the long way up the hill as the 911 tries to go around the other Porsche. Doesn't get that one sorted out. Robert Lucas just driving his racing line there, doing exactly the right thing and refusing to be either intimidated, Joe Bradley, or indeed distracted by what was going on by the Herbert car behind him.
These three cars in third, fourth and fifth, they're actually dropping back. They're dropping away from the two leading Mercedes. Gaps out to just over 11 seconds. And that's why Robert Renauer and Matteo Malicelli are feeling like they're being held up. Now, you would think, come on, guys, settle down. There's just circulate. But what's happening is Robert Lucas is actually holding up the 911 and the number 11.
But it's marginal, and there's no point as some of the AstroTurf is just beginning to be pulled up at the exit of turn number 11. I really don't understand why AstroTurf is used at the exit of corners, because all it ever does is get pulled up. Anyway, that's by the by. I think somebody needs to be telling these guys that it's much better to lose half a second a lap than to end up in the wall. Coming to the end of another lap then, third, fourth and fifth position onto the front straight.
Lucas then in third. Let's see what the gap is. It was just over 11 seconds last time through. They've completed 7 laps as they come across the line. Car 29, he's out to 13 seconds. So it's 29, 9, 11 and 11, third, fourth and fifth. Porsche, Ferrari, and they are slowing each other up.
Malicelli down the inside at 3. That's a bold manoeuvre, and he's hit the 911. It was almost inevitable. He got right up alongside. Photographers jumping out of the van. There's damage to the right rear of the 911. It's bodywork and maybe the rear diffuser as well, just behind the right rear wheel. Turn 3 is a tight right-handed hairpin, and Herbert are not going to be pleased about that. They came in third, fourth and fifth very close together. You do leave a big gap down the inside. That's the racing line. Malicelli went for it early. Now, how far down the inside does he get? He gets a long way down. He's there. He's right up nose to nose. And then at the last minute, he decides to back out. And I think he had to keep going at that point. And the Porsche should have given him room.
He had to scrub off more speed than the Porsche was coming on a wider arc and on the conventional line. And he was probably unsighted. Renauer probably lost him from his mirrors. Yes, he's on the other side of the car. Lost him from his mirrors. Probably didn't even realise he was there. And he was taking the conventional line, and the Ferrari was just there.
So early in the race, and Robert is very experienced. Malicelli's got a bit of a reputation. Let's not forget that twice he's been actually banned from taking part in a race, once in this series at Imola, and previously I think it was at Bathurst, or maybe it was in America. You were also not allowed to start a race because of his tactics. He's a thrusting driver, Malicelli. Very popular with Ferrari though, and a little bit of smoke I noticed coming from the Herbert Motorsport car.
Yeah, I think that's a tyre rub, Andrew, on that rear right-hand side. I think the frustration, we talked about that a few moments before with Robert Renauer having a little look at the other Porsche, at Robert Lucas, but at that point, as I say, it's the words were barely out of my mouth. It's better to lose half a second a lap than end up in the wall.
I just think that the impatience was creeping in. Malicelli, not known for his patience, he was being he definitely felt he was being held up, and he knew he could see those Mercedes disappearing. He could see Robert Lucas disappearing potentially. He was being held up. He needed to get past both of those Porsches.
Well, I don't think that was about. I said, he's had a bit of a reputation, but I don't think you could really fault him for that. He was just going,
He was right alongside. Now, we didn't have the best angle for that. It would have been nice to be up on the hillside at turn 2 there, looking down on that, just to see how far alongside he got at turn 3. There is an onboard on the Scuderia Praha car. Malicelli's going to think he was completely alongside, if not slightly nosed ahead as he went to the apex. He certainly got to the apex first, and is that the definition of a racing incident?
Yeah, it is. But I think in a race like this, and the fact that the first 3 hours is effectively neutralised as far as the main lappers, the front lap is concerned, Robert should have backed off.
Yeah, the thing is, though, Andrew, you know, he's wanting to race.
Yeah.
So we are around about 15 minutes into this race. Christian Frankenhout is ahead of the field by nearly 5 seconds in the number 1 Hofer Mercedes. Battles all the way down the field, coming across the line now. The battle for 5th, Lafargue and Edelhoff are absolutely together. Edelhoff going into turn 1, might have a little look down the inside. Big dab on the brakes, very, very early from the Mercedes ahead of him. The Audi a little more nimble and takes a much tighter line out of turn 3. Will get alongside. Oh, accelerating now all the way up the hill. Side by side through 4. Can't make it happen. Now the Mercedes will defend to the inside as they go to the uphill left-hander at turn 5. Doesn't really get to the curb there. Shame that Edelhoff wasn't a bit closer. Can't do it at 6th. 6. Think about it. Come on, Max. Think about it. Set him up. You don't want to be too close going into 8. Get a better. The Merc's moving around an awful lot using its Hankook tyres. Get a better run through 8 and then get alongside at 9. That's your overtaking manoeuvre, but he's not close enough. He hasn't used the flashing your lights is not going to help you at that spot. Although he does actually make the Merc go defensive at the end of the back straight.
I was going to say, John, the 17 car, the Paul Lafargue car, is driving defensively, and
he's looking at his mirrors too much.
He's about a second and a half slower than the Audi behind him, but he's able to keep him back just by driving defensively. That's the nature of the track here.
Christian, of course, has got to really push, because you heard him say that Chantal will get in the car next. Chantal is probably 5 seconds.
This is the leader we're talking about now, yeah.
Chantal is probably 5 seconds a lap slower than Christian Frankenhout.
Coming to
start doing your sums. 5 seconds a lap.
Yeah, that's 20 laps. You lose
20
a lap.
laps.
You lose
20 laps. She's lost a lap.
Yeah, correct. Let's just have a quick look back at some action from a little bit earlier on, as the 3 cars were very close together. We might be able to give you a little bit of...
Robert's in the pits.
And in the pit lane for the 911, this is Robert Renard, and Nick Damon is with the car that was running in 3rd position.
They waited a couple of laps. They've made some lovely duct tape patches. There's a big load of damage. I'm sure Seb's showing you now. It's what looked like a relatively innocuous knock. Has kind of taken, it's snapped effectively, torn the rear right valance. Now, the good thing about that is they can take it back up again. It lifts everything to it, but unfortunately, because they've run around for 3 or 4 laps, it's done some quite serious damage to the under tray, so the floor itself. See if I just grab Seb here. You see the floor here, which this is the aerodynamic part, it has been ripped out. So that's obviously happened at turn 3. He got a big punt. Now, I did have a look actually at Malocelli on the main straight, and that car seems pretty undamaged. Obviously, to see if a strake has fallen off, we'll have to wait for his first pit stop. Now, they've given up on this bit of aero, which is the under kind of tray, which actually connects the bottom of the rear wheel into the back of the diffuser, so it'll be down a few pounds of downforce. They're now working away in which by using, fabulous, using tie wraps as well. Tie wraps and tape, they can get enough pressure on the interestingly, by accident, I went to a show in Germany. I went to the wrong one. I was supposed to go to a general IT show, and I went to one about specialist surgery. And all they were doing was selling these stapling devices, which is exactly what you want now, to staple this wound together. And
only you, Nick.
Well, also, one thing I will say, if ever you are short of something to do in Germany, they don't ask for any ID, because I had the wrong ID, and they feed you really well. Fabulous food at the surgeon show. But they've only gone for 1 tie wrap, and I would put money on them not being enough, and they've agreed because they're going off the dolly jacks, John. This car's going into the garage.
Nick Damon with the 911, which has already dropped off the lead lap by a couple and is sitting in 21st position now, Joe.
That would suggest to me they've got suspension damage on the right rear of that car. That's why that car's potentially going into the garage. I'm sure Nick will be able to confirm anything that's wrong with the car, but it did take a whack, enough of a whack to cause the damage to the bodywork and the rear diffuser, so right near that right rear wheel.
While Nick was describing that, we did get a chance, thanks to our TV colleagues, to have a look at the incident again. And Malocelli was well alongside, rolling into the apex, and it did appear that as Robert turned in, he did get a bit sort of sideways even before the incident happened.
So do you think he was already rotating the car and that he just got helped along?
I think he tried to close the door when the guy's already had his foot in it.
So he tugged at the wheel a bit just to close it.
To try and close
I don't know.
You know what? I'm not.
Yeah.
If the stewards will look at that, it's under investigation at the moment. If the stewards came back and said racing incident, no further action, I would say okay. If they came back and said 9/11 caused an accident, I would say okay. And frankly, they could probably even call it for Malicelli. I think it needs one of. I think it would be harsher on Malicelli.
He was. I mean, you were right about the perspective of our camera, wasn't it? It was really low down, and you could. It looked like the Ferrari was side by side.
He got a really good run through the kink at 2 and immediately went to driver's right.
And he did get side by side.
The middle of the road.
He's alongside, no doubt about it. It's just, I think Renault is unsighted because of the nature of the race seat, the nature of his full face helmet. He's got very poor peripheral vision in these cars.
He scrapes down the side of the Ferrari. But this is Ferrari running into him.
This is going to be a long fix now. I mean, you just saw
out of it now.
The group they're out of it. Yeah.
They're having a horrific season, aren't they? The
3 laps
guys.
down already, and there will be more than that down. This is going to be a damage limitation in every sense of the word to get back and get some points.
Last year they won the Dubai 24 Hours. And the Kota 24 Hours and other races.
They won just about every endurance race they entered last year. In fact, I think they were Nick's nomination in our Man of the Year show, our end of year show, for his team of the year, if I remember rightly.
John, you've been singing the praises of Max Endelhoff, and he's putting in some good laps now.
Yeah, impressed with Max. He's settling down. He's just done his best lap of the race, as noticed by Andre Murray at 1:41.654. The gap at the front of the field, by the way, nearly 7 seconds now, as Frankenhout is easing away from the rest of the field. You want to get in touch with us at RSL_studio?
I've got somebody who already has. He's made me laugh. Mike Nash, listening at home. Three opinions here, and I'm sat watching on my own. Different view every time. Try doing this, mate.
Robert Renault is out of the car. Nick Damon is with him.
Robert, bad luck. How did you see that accident?
I was fighting with Robert Lucas, and suddenly the Ferrari dived into my right rear. Yeah, and spun, and everything is destroyed now in the rear after 10 minutes. It's a mess.
Did you take turn 3 in any different way that lap than you had in any previous lap?
No, I went to the inside because I was fighting with Robert Lucas, and maybe he thought we can go with 3 cars into this corner, but you cannot do it after 15 minutes in this corner.
Now, is it suspension damage, or are you just putting a new under tray on?
Oh, it's just the bodywork.
It's very bad luck. Thank you for talking to us, Robert. We appreciate it. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, and I've got no doubt that when you talk to Malicelli, he'll give you exactly the opposite view on that. Just the under tray getting replaced. That's good news, but that just shows how crucial that is, even on a non-aero circuit.
I was about to say that very thing. How important is that rear diffuser? How much downforce would they have lost for just losing a little bit to the right?
Yeah.
Incredible, yeah.
And that was a little triangle that was, half
1
an
foot
exercise.
square or something? Foot square?
Half an exercise book, really.
30 centimetres square for our European listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Max Edelhoff got a bit of clear track ahead of him, and he's putting in some great times now as he tries to close down on the very bright orange and black 29 Porsche. That's 4th and 5th position going across the line, and the gap between them as they go through is round about 4 seconds actually. So he's pulled in a little bit. The Audi beginning to look a very well balanced car. Didn't really get it done over 1 lap in qualifying, Andrew, but I thought yesterday when we watched the open test that the Audi actually looked a pretty good proposition on the longer run, and it looked, relatively speaking at least, an easier car to drive than, say, the Mercedes. And when we were watching earlier on, the Mercedes, even on new tyres, was moving around quite a lot.
I agree with you. They're a good team car collection. Remember, they had their win at Imola last year. That was the first win for an A6 AM car in the history of this series, I believe. They're a smart outfit, and they're just biding their time a little bit, but they're on the pace, look. And Max Endelhoff doing very well, driving with his father, which is always nice. And a tight team, and I expect that car will continue to stay right up in the sharp end of the race. Espinal now up to 6th place, Lafargue in 7th, and Wozniak in the other E-Deck entry. He is leading the 991 category.
That's been a heck of a start for him. Cut through the field. Lino Curti, who was leading that class, now dropped down to 3rd, and the 2nd in that category is the 65 Porsche Lorient car, isn't it? Yeah.
With the owner of the team driving it. Frederick Ansel owns those Porsche dealerships in Brittany.
So we are just coming down to 25 minutes having been completed. The 94 Porsche circulating quite happily in a bit of clear track at the moment as well. That's the QSR Racing School, one of 2 QSR cars that we have this weekend. That car is sitting a little bit further down the field, but still going around very nicely. And at the moment, the only issue is for one of the big names, undoubtedly one of the big names, possibly the biggest name from last year, the 911. Herbert Precourt 911 didn't win the championship, but won just about everything else.
Currently just coming up to 10 minutes in the pits and already 6 laps down off the leader.
Exactly. You know, when you say it like that, though, right, they're not going to get the win, but somebody else has a problem. There's not much you can fix in 10 minutes. If you have a gearbox issue or a drive shaft or something like that, they might get some positions back in their own category, but they're not going to win this race.
We've got 9 cars in the A6 class, so you know the best he can hope for is getting back onto the tail of that lead 9 A6 cars. You know, because he's got a much quicker car than the other classes.
Fabulous run at the head of the field for Christian Frankenhout, sitting round about the early 41s at the moment. John, and he set that up, Andrew, right from the red lights going out. He wasn't on the best side of the circuit. He thought it might be a bit of an issue, and immediately he got a good start. He put some gap between them, would actually force the guy who I thought was in the better position in 2nd to chop over in front of Malicelli, and that was the start of Malicelli's issues.
Yeah, I've been watching timing screens pretty closely, and I think he's been fastest on every single lap of this race.
Really?
Yeah.
The start then with the lights going out around about 28 minutes ago, and from the unfavoured right-hand side of the track, Christian Frankenhout gets a great jump, 3 or 4 or 5 cars lengths on the rest of the field. Malicelli got a good start and tried to go up the inside and make some positions, but found his way blocked by 2 Mercedes. Calamia tried an audacious move from the outside of 2, and there just wasn't. Actually, he's been lucky there not to damage the bottom of the car as he ran over the AstroTurf. And Malicelli, all of a sudden, from thinking he was possibly going to finish up halfway around the first lap in 2nd position, ended up all the way down in 4th, and subsequently dropped down, I think, as far as 5th or 6th.
He got compromised there, didn't he? And that allowed the Porsches through, both of Robert Renauer and then Robert Lucas, who came through as well. It was like a 10-lapper, wasn't it? We knew it was. The nature of the track was going to be a very busy lap for us.
Yeah, by the end of the first lap, it was Malicelli, as I say, who was challenging for 2nd going into the first complex. It was 6th, and that might have been the start of Matteo's slight frustration earlier on. E-Deck Sport Racing sitting in behind the Mark Cars V8 with those guys battling for position. Paul Lafargue hasn't done a bad job. He wasn't expected to hold his position. He hasn't, and he's coming in for an early stop. Now, this is very early indeed. Half an hour gone. Now, are they already back timing, or are they going to give him a full load of fuel? Let's see if he goes into the fuel stop. He does, just about. My goodness, that was tighter than I thought. It's going to be 40-odd seconds to get just in and out, plus the time. Now, he's in now. If anything happens and there's a code 60, he can take full fuel. I reckon that means he'll leave those tyres on, stay in the car, and do another full hour in that car. He will have effectively done an hour and a half by the time he gets out, and leave an hour and a half for the next driver in this first part of the race.
I think they may get him out and put the quicker boy in.
Half an hour before the race, they were still doing driver changes, and I was timing them, and I saw them do about 4. And with him getting out the car, it's taken the best part of a minute for them to train the drivers, and normally we expect it to take about 40 seconds. So
you could do tyres in that time.
You could
easily.
do tyres, yes. Yeah.
And you would do if you were putting a new driver in fairness.
You've got to gauge how much slower he is on the lap time to the next guy.
But what was interesting was the onboard showing us how you had that long run into there.
How difficult it was to get into the lane for fuel on the right-hand side. That was interesting indeed. Exactly half an hour when he came into the fueling, and Paul is still there. He's now dropped off the lead lap, and Nick Damon is down in the E-Tech Mercedes pits. Nick?
Yeah, they have tyres ready for him, but they haven't got another driver ready for him.
Nick, that's
his tyres.
Well, Nick, that's interesting. Thank you, because didn't we see that was the car that was moving around much earlier on? Really squirrely coming out of 7, and difficult to keep it straight under braking for 8.
Did they only half fuel it for the start and working backwards?
Possibly. Did they not give him a new set of tyres for the start?
What would be the point of that, though, Andrew? What would be the point of that?
Just to make it easier for the owner or the slowest guy in the car.
Oh, you mean easier handling?
Yeah.
I think he probably has destroyed his rears by, just the traction.
By fighting.
By pushing the traction on the car. It's easy to do.
If we got his time for fueling, we'd tell him how much fuel they put in.
Yeah. Don't forget, Paul's the younger of
Paul's
the
younger guy,
so he's the middle guy.
Yeah, he's the middle guy.
Coming through the 446, this is the GT4 leader. That's the Ginetta, as meanwhile in the pit lane, Nick Damon has got the number 17 E-Deck Mercedes.
Trundling very slowly at 40 kilometres an hour, still no sign of another driver, so this is an interesting set of tactics. I will obviously pay careful attention if I can to the condition of the tyres that are coming off, because he's missed that bang, was missing his mark slightly. Looking at the rear right, no obvious problems with that one. Brand new tyres again this time. They are full of the markings to tell us that they're brand new. Can't see a flat spot here. The Hankook man also having a good old stare at the and that's quite a mysterious stop. Fuel and tyres, no driver, and no discernible tyre reason for it.
I'll let you have a word with them there, but that would suggest to me, Nick, thank you, that was a tyre performance problem for Lafarge.
Put my mistake right. Paul is the son rather than Patrice, but he isn't that much quicker than the dad. Dimitri's obviously the hot shoe in there. I wonder if Nick can find Dimitri. That is a very strange call. I really don't understand that.
Well, unless they are going to send him to... I mean, he can only do 2 hours in the car, can't he? It's a maximum of 2 hours in one go.
Andrew might be right with a half hour of fuel and then fueling for the 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because he's now got up to 90 minutes of fuel, hasn't he?
Correct. Around here, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure
I think
either.
it's about an hour. I think that'll put him halfway through the 3 hour race.
A lot of off throttle at this place.
Yeah, a lot of hard acceleration as well, though, Joe.
I know.
And maybe that's, it's a funny one, isn't it? We were talking about this in the qualifying show. How do you use the traction control? How much of it do you use? How do you like the balance of the car? We've seen people putting more rear wing on to find a bit of a balance on the car as well. So don't forget, get in touch with your views, please, at RSL_studio. Christian Frankenhood goes across the line. Another one. Oh, that's the first time that he hasn't been quickest. A 42.0 against a 41.7. And the reason for that is he's in traffic at the back of the field now. So his lead trimmed all of a sudden to 8.1 seconds to Mauro Calamia in the Swiss team Mercedes-Benz. Edelhoff continues to move forward, now 4th position, but 30 seconds off the lead. Lucas in 5th position in the Porsche Racing Porsche. Nick Damon
had a good chat with the IDEC Sport. Very nice young lady has spoken to me, as has the Hankook man. Hankook man, I said, is there a problem? He said no. They took all the tyre pressures, no problem there. But the team lady, she said, there were bad sets, bad set of tyres. That's why it's gone backwards. Because Paul's actually reasonably quick. It's Patrice who's the slow driver. Paul's not as slow as we were seeing there, and he has been the team leader in some of the races where Dimitri couldn't take part. So they are going this famous thing of just a mismatched or a poor set of tyres.
Yeah.
There's no flat spots and no issue with pressure.
Right, or he just overdid it at the start. I don't know whether they were new tyres at the start or whether they were part ones, but that car, from very early on, we had the opportunity to see it from behind, from an onboard, and that car, I remember seeing it in qualifying, that it looked squirrely.
It was clear to see where Paul was losing time. He was having to wring that car's neck, hang on to the car.
I'd be surprised if he wasn't on the phone saying to the team, have I got a puncture? What
setup have you put on this car since qualifying? He's probably been saying. I didn't ask for this much camber.
Mark Ford Focus, the V8 bright red machine, going down the back straight in elegant isolation at the moment. That's the number 58 car. Just the two drivers in that, Jose Clos and Rafael van der Straten. I think we put Jose in at the start of that, didn't we?
We did. We spoke to him. He sounds like a Spaniard, doesn't he, Jose? But he is indeed a Belgian.
I wonder if it's Josie then.
Josie
Clos.
Be Clos if he's Belgian, surely.
Well, we need to ask him.
Yeah,
it's a bit like Sean Bean, isn't it? Or Sean Bourne. I never know which to say it.
Sean Bean.
Well, he can't have both. It's got to be one or the other, hasn't it? Max Edelhoff now in traffic. He's about 10 seconds away from third position. Matteo Malicelli, who's about 10 seconds, a little bit more behind second place, is Mauro Calamia in the 15 Mercedes, and he's back now 9 seconds as the slight aberration of Christian Frankenhout not being the fastest man on the track is put right next time around as he puts in a very competitive 1:41.5 as the guys behind him now, of course, hit the same traffic that he had, Andrew, a lap or so ago. So the traffic giveth and the traffic taketh away.
It certainly does. Well, I think Mauro's doing a very good job in that Mercedes. So new to that Swiss team, more used to running Maseratis. And you heard in the interview we did with him, I think this morning on radio, that team hasn't been together for a year. They've put the team back together again to run this very fine Mercedes.
I'm sorry, Andrew, hang off an eye, just a little speechless there for a moment on an unrelated matter.
Frankenhout then making his way through the early part of the lap as he crossed the line in a moment or two's time. Will come Max Edelhoff. He goes up into fourth position. The Car Collection Motorsport Audi in fourth position. That's all right. 32 seconds off the lead. Through into turn one. Snatches sixth gear. No, he doesn't. Now, in qualifying, he was snatching sixth gear before the kink at turn two and keeping his foot in. There, he held it in fifth, and exactly what we thought he might do, Joe. Held it in fifth, came off before the kink, down into fourth before the kink at two, balancing the car before he went down to second.
Saving that left front, isn't it? He's not loading up the tyres. It's all about getting the tyres through to a few.
Very interesting.
Fuel limited rather than tyre limited.
Yes, well, you want to keep your tyres under you as much as you can.
Yeah.
These slick racing tyres from Hankook, spec tyre for everybody. But they are very, very good indeed if you look after them early on. If you can get a decent first few laps in without overheating them, without clobbering the curbs too much, and making sure that they come up to pressures and temp, you'll find that even in... Actually, it's a bit cooler here now and a lot more overcast than we've seen at any time since we arrived on Thursday afternoon into early evening, but you should be able to put quick laps in, even right through into the last 10 or 15 laps of the stint, particularly around a little circuit like this. But there are a number of places where you are braking and turning and accelerating and turning, and therefore putting an awful lot of pressure onto that front left tyre, and all the drivers will have been told that they need to look after the front left.
And it's forecast to remain with this bit of cloud that's going to sort of cool the ambient temperature ever so slightly. It's still going to be warm, but it's going to remain a little bit cloudy.
So, Andrew, your thoughts on the first 40 minutes?
Well, it was as hectic as we thought it was going to be, wasn't it? And particularly with that clash with the Ferrari and one of the, obviously, the mistake, I feel, by Robert Renau. Christian Frankenhout doing a fabulous job, but he has got to push on, of course, with the two slower drivers that will be in that car later. But impressed with the Swiss team. They're doing a good job. Also enjoying very much the battle between the various GTX cars, SPX cars, I should say. So different concepts there with tubular frame cars and the all-carbon fibre KTM racing together and very close together indeed. So a battle there between the 117 and 204 cars. So
by the
far,
way, still have not seen the 911 come out of the pit lane. We'll get Nick Damon to give us an update on that.
23 minutes there now.
In a few minutes or so. Nick Damon, go ahead.
It's about to leave. Something I have found out, that reconnecting the rear diffuser of a Porsche 911 GT3 involves about 712 relatively small screws. Because all those individual strakes you see behind the rear wheel have at least 6 screws holding them on. They've also had to, the main screws, there's also a fantastic amount of tank tape in 2 different colours, a few tie wraps, and any second now they're just finally getting the door shut. It's going to be Daniel Alleman who will take it away and begin his stint. A rather forlorn Robert now watches the car go. That's not a bad repair, but that's going to take him out of contention. This unbelievable train of bad luck for every other GT3 car or A6 car.
That's 15 laps they've lost there, nearly 16 laps. Thanks, Nick. Nick Damon down in the pit lane. They're 4th in class still. They will stay out there. They will lap. They will continue to try and get points. But really, their season is going from worse to worser.
I can't. You know what? It's a complete contrast to last year and the year before. They have had all the bad luck thrown at them, and it really was an unfortunate incident there. They were in contention. It's got to be said. I know. I'm actually a bit surprised by the overall performance of those 2 leading Mercedes. I'm not surprised by Christian Frankenhout, who has been shielded, I think, from his full potential, and we're going to see the same from Kenneth Heyer as well. And I don't wish to sound disrespectful to Michael and Chantel Kroll or Roland Eggerman. They're the AM drivers. Kenneth and Christian are out, you know, they're Mercedes Works drivers, and we're going to see them come into their 4 this season without the delta times that they have to hit.
As the non-pros, you are given a target lap time by your team manager, and what you want to do is every lap, whether there's traffic or not, get as close to that lap time. You don't need to be going a second quicker, even if you feel you can. You don't need to be going a second quicker. Because if you're going a second quicker, you're putting yourself and the car at risk. It's no good going, oh, I've got a second quicker, oh, I've fallen off and ripped the wheel off.
Or my tyres have gone.
Or your tyres have gone. Absolutely. Absolutely. So coming round to 45 minutes, let's have a look at the classes. GT4 still led by the endurance team Romania Ginetta, the 446 car. That car lapping just under the 1 minute 50 seconds and very close to its fastest lap last time around, a 49.9. The best that car's done is a 49.8. Second place in the category is that brand new Mercedes GT4 for QSR Race School. The 254 car sits in 20th position. They have did a best time of a 53.1 and they did a 54 flat last time around. In SPX, it's the 116 True Race KTM that leads, and that is in 9th position. Best lap time of a 145.5, 146.1. I'll take that all day, every day of the week. Second in SPX is the team car, Klaus in the 117 car, and he has got about 9 seconds on the Vortex, which is in 3rd position in SPX. Decent little battle going on in the 991 category, not for the lead in fairness. That's the EDEX Sport number 75 car, the darker coloured 991 Cup car. That car has done the best of a 44.6 and is lapping in 45.5s. Again, that's absolutely brilliant. But the battle for second between the Porsche Lorient number 65 and Let me see, where's the third place car in category gone? Luno's dropped back a bit. In fact, he's got an A6 AM car. He's got Dirk Parhofer and the SPX leader between them now. That was looking a bit closer, but now he's dropped away to about 6 seconds, 7 seconds away. So that's your top three in 991. At the top of the shop, it's the A6 AMs who are first and second. 10 seconds between the number 1 Mercedes and the 15 Mercedes Swiss team in second. Hofer leading, and the A6 Pro lead is held by the Ferrari of the Bohemia Energy Scuderia Praha, Matteo Malicelli. We've seen nothing on the screen to suggest that he's going to get a penalty. I presume at this distance that's been NFA'd, no further action.
Interestingly, that Paul Lafargue pit stop took 3 minutes and 11 seconds. That's including fueling up and putting a new set of tyres on. So 3 minutes 11 is a sort of delta there, Joe, for a pit stop, which is, well, what's a lap and 1 3/4?
Yeah, it's almost 2 laps, isn't it? Lap and 3/4, lap and 4/5, let's call it. But definitely, 10 seconds remains the gap between first and second, and a further 10 seconds between second and third. And there's been no real sort of impression made by either of those cars in first, second, or third place. They remain in those positions, lapping in around about the same sort of lap time, give or take the odd bit of traffic that each and every one of them have to negotiate. Great drive from Max Edelolf, who's got the car collection Audi, car 34, up the grid, started uncharacteristically further down the grid than I expected, and he's got that car ahead of the Robert Lucas Porsche. The Porsche there, now in 5th, Charles Espinlaub in 6th, and they are dropping away. Is that a lap down, or have they just not come through? No, they haven't come through yet. But 44 seconds off the leader for Robert Lucas, 48 seconds off the leader for Charles Espinlaub in the 85 Pro Sport Mercedes.
Stuart Bradley, Andrew Marriott is alongside him, and they are both to my right here in the booth. Nick Damon is down in the pit lane as we're live in sound and vision as we bring TV and radio together. RSL network of channels. We're on RS1 this weekend, and we are racing. It's a slight change to what we expected, a split race. 9 hours tomorrow, 3 hours this afternoon. Through goes the 117 KTM in 14th position and second in the SPX class. Really interesting little design car, that, with the carbon fibre.
John, I think Dallara are involved with the design of that car, if I remember rightly.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. They seem to have their fingers in quite a lot of pies.
Do.
And plus, of course, their design, I mean, Ferrari Formula 1 cars, the original Audi R8 LMP ones, up to, I think, that maybe the 10s, maybe the R10 was a Dallara as well. Obviously, they have their own bespoke chassis for a number of things, including Indy cars.
Yeah, and
LMP2.
Yeah.
And of course the Cadillacs, which...
No, not LMP2. They didn't do an LMP2 car. They weren't one of the 4.
Yes, they were, John.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Yes, there must be, because the Cadillac's based on one.
drove one.
Yeah.
Yes, there must be, because the Cadillac's based on one.
Well, fantastic company, Dallara.
Didn't get P3.
And the boss, Gianpaolo Dallara, is still at the helm of that company. But this very interesting car, this KTM Expo. Obviously, KTM, the Austrian company, much better known for their motocross bikes, and now, of course, they're in the main bikes racing series.
Yeah.
MotoGP. Word failed me for a second. But this car, it's got that interesting cockpit which comes up, I was going to say, just like a bomb bug.
Yes, we were talking about that the other night as well, weren't we? The clamshell, upturned clamshell that slides up and away. Very functional inside. It's been built as an adjunct to the street car. I'm not sure if you can buy a street car with the top on. The street cars tend to be open top.
They used to be used a lot in Race of Champions, didn't they?
Yeah, we used crossbows in Race of Champions an awful lot. Ariel Atom, a similar sort of concept, although that with a tube frame chassis rather than the carbon monocoque that the KTM uses.
Do they not produce the road car with that? The windscreen is effectively the door, isn't it? Does that sort of not meet safety standards on, you know, emergency exiting and stuff?
I've no
I'm
clue.
not sure.
No, I'm sure someone listening will know and will tweet us the answer.
I've seen the coupe version on the road. I've seen a number, some of which even had all four wheels on them, of the KTMs, of the open cup cars. They're almost always black and orange. That's the company colours. KTM, well known for big single-seater, big banger motorcycles, big throb things. They're
motocross bikes,
motocross and off-road bikes, but not exclusively.
That's right.
No.
Peter Cox has been very much involved with the development of that car, hasn't he? We've also seen his daughter racing one last year, I remember.
So he spent a long time with Reiter Engineering, didn't he, with the Lamborghini?
Yeah, these two cars here have been run by Reiter.
Yeah.
So on board with Max Endelhoff, who's impressing us today, running strongly there in fourth place.
He's not catching, although he did last time around by about half a second, a bit more. He caught Matteo Malicelli, but he's in. Max Edelhoff is in clear air. Malicelli working through traffic. Now, you know, we've only got 21 cars here. You might say, come on, traffic, Hindhoff, what are you talking about? But this circuit is such that if you catch a car in the wrong place, even if you're a couple of
which
seconds,
there are many wrong places.
I was going to get to that, yes. Even if you're a couple of seconds quicker, even if you're 4 or 5 seconds quicker, you might have to follow a car for 2 or 3 corners, because the corners tend to come in quick succession here. They run into one another, and the way you set up for the first corner in the complex of 3 or 4 is absolutely crucial as to how you get out of the last one. And in a couple of places, notably in the middle of the lap down the back straight and at the end of the lap onto the start-finish straight, you have to get out of that last corner to make your time down the straight if you're in a GT3 car.
Yeah, and there's Max Edelhoff now just crossing the line to complete what will be his 30th lap. The gap out to the leader, 35 seconds. The gap between second and third, still 10 seconds, but the gap between first and second extending to just on the 11-second mark. So we have got Max Edelhoff actually catching the 2 cars ahead of him ever so slightly.
Just on 8 minutes to go to the hour. Nick Damon is down in the pit lane for this first part of the race. Nick, any signs of people starting to get worried about fuel? Any signs of people starting to get ready with tyres and replacement drivers down there?
No.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Bye.
As calm as a calm thing. No one has tyres out in the pit lane. No one looks worried. I can't actually see, and I've had a bit of a shifty the last few minutes after the excellent news you gave me over Talkback, John. Up and down, and I haven't seen anybody with a helmet on either.
Joe and I had just as good news as well. Darren Bent scored against us for the second time this season after he wasn't even supposed to have left in the summer. He was supposed to have
5 minutes to go when we're in the lead.
Yeah.
Yes. Jamie Peters-Ennis, thanks Jamie, he's done the research for us. Looks like the only road version of the KTM is without a roof. And he's saying the similar sort of thinking that I have, maybe because if the car went over, you wouldn't be able to get out. You wouldn't be able to lift the door open, would you?
You could have explosive bolts on it.
Well, not if it's on its roof.
Yeah.
Do you mean if it gets to it? What if you take around the banking at Daytona, it's going to fire its roof off when it goes onto the banking, isn't it?
You're just being silly now.
I am being silly. You started it.
No. Yeah, if you've got gull-wing doors on a road car, you have
similar
to have explosive bolts.
Right.
So that if it goes over,
but the door falls to the side.
Yeah.
This thing opens upwards. So if you're on the roof, it doesn't. It opens upwards.
It does. Just like a bomb bugger.
Yeah. Just tilt up and forward. Yeah.
And as someone who has rolled at a bomb bug, I would know about things like that.
And how did you get out of it,
Andrew?
Yeah. I actually only put it on its side, to be truthful.
Okay.
As did most people.
Yeah. Now that we're talking KTM, though, the 116 car has moved up to 8th place overall.
Yeah. Gone past another 991.
Yeah.
That's the second place 991 category car. I still maintain that if I won the 115 million on the Euro Millions last night, in fairness, I haven't had the excited phone call from the responsible adult, so that's probably not happened. But if I had, that's what I would buy, a 991 Cup car with the endurance kit on to go and do endurance racing. I think that's a cracking car to go and do endurance racing in. It's got a big fuel tank. It gets good fuel mileage. Dubai, they're regularly inside the top 20 at the end of the race, and in the first 3 or 4 hours, you can be inside the top 10. They're bulletproof.
That's if you won 15 million. You're talking about winning how much?
115 million.
115. You'd buy lots of different racing cars.
No, just one at a time.
You want some classic cars, a nice classic car, and then you could have one of those Mercedes.
I'm not sure I'm a Benz boy. Unless, I mean, if somebody wants to give me a go and I can make my mind up, then...
Oh, you could. I mean, you wouldn't want all that probably. Just go and buy a drive in what you fancied, wouldn't you, with a good team?
Yeah, you wouldn't bother with.
Don't set up your own racing team. That's a mug's game.
Andrew, you would not be packing. You would not be packing a truck and tearing down.
No, you'd be flying your own jet, though.
Yeah, you'd be helicoptering in and helicoptering out.
You would.
And you'd be, you wouldn't want the hassle of the everyday running of a team.
Can you guys not spend my 115 million for me? I think
absolutely, mate. You just leave that to us.
Yeah,
you just turn up. You just turn up and drive.
KTM being driven very nicely indeed. Klaus Angerhofer now right in behind one of the GT Porsches as they go through turn 12, last third of the lap. 13th position is the car he's behind. That's the number 64 Porsche, which is one of the Lorient cars, and that's Philippe Paulette who is behind the wheel of that car. Headlights on now for the 117. Is that a battle for position then? Yes, it is. That is a battle for overall position. 13th and 14th. Klaus Angerhofer has got target acquired. That Cup car's pretty quick in a straight line, mind you. I do like the Lorient cars with the 2 different coloured day notice lights. The LEDs have got different coloured lenses on them.
I see the Vortex is currently 3rd in class in the SPX class, down in 15th. Now that thing, a Corvette engine on a tube frame which weighs about the same as my sofa, that's got to be like controlling a firework.
Yeah.
That really must be, all that low down torque in a tube frame car. That must be exciting. We heard the, who was it that Nick spoke to on the grid out of that Vortex? It was Philippe Grau, I think, who said it's very exciting, I think is the word he used.
Just a footnote on the KTM, which is trying to take that 13th position at the moment. KTM, the company, is now owned by Bajaj, the Indian multinational. Kiska did the design. Andrew,
he's one of the drivers as well. Yeah.
The Kiska company did the design, yes, and he's one of the drivers. It is manufactured by Dallara, and the engine, of course, is Audi. It's a TFSI 4-cylinder turbocharged machine. Thank you to Chris Suku for that. Hi, Chris. So coming into the first hour of racing, let's see how far they can go. Now, what we do know, of course, is that the number 17 of Paul Lafargue, now down in 16th position, lapping handily in around about the 43 seconds flat mark. He's done his first pit stop, and he's got half an hour longer to go than anybody else. So he'll get some of that time back, so long as those people come in under green flags. The other KTM actually just done its fastest lap of the race there, Andrew, 45.454.
Yeah, I'm also wondering what happened to Robert Lucas the last lap. He dropped about 5 seconds. I don't know, maybe he got held up badly, but he did drop behind Charles Espinel.
Yeah. He's going backwards, isn't he? Because Max Edelhoff got by him as well. So the Porsche may again be ruining its rear tyres on traction issues.
Yeah, very good Polish team, always competing in the Porsche Super Cup, alongside Grand Prix, of course.
Mauro Calabmia is in 2nd position. The Swiss team in 2nd place with their Mercedes. One thing I've noticed about all the Mercedes is they have turn-in oversteer. All of the cars that have been quick, it's turn in, catch the slide, and then get yourself balanced to the apex of the corner. Almost 1, 2, 3 movements of the wheel.
And it's nice if you get it to actually do that without overstepping the mark, and that's where the art comes into it, isn't it?
That's tiring,
not
though.
overdoing it. It is. It's very, very tiring to be balancing a car like that.
It's tiring physically as well as it is on concentration.
But it's nice when you can get the car to do it without you really thinking about it, and it's
Correct.
sort of set up, and that's the setup that you're trying to achieve, just making it just rotate that little bit without having to become a handful for the driver to control. We certainly don't want to be controlling oversteer on the throttle. We're not talking about controlling wheel spin here. We're just controlling the car sliding, carrying momentum, the right amount of momentum, just to get the back end turning on these very, very tight corners here at Navarra. It's key to a quick lap time around here. We did say it's a bit like a kart track, this, and that's exactly what you've got to get these cars handling like.
Nick Damon has an update from the pit lane. Nicholas?
It is now getting a little bit busier, a little bit edgy, but the 94, the QSR car from...
That's the Porsche.
That stopped for fuel and that was it. Just trundled down the pit lane. So he's obviously going to be his full 2 hours by making a stop after one. No tyres. Just there was a nice little wave from the mechanics, but that was it. So we are going to have some action over the next 10 minutes down here, but looks like everyone's been quite well filled up for the first hour, and they are going to run about an hour and a quarter, and then we will probably see some driver changes, unless everyone's running 2 hours, which is unlikely.
That's interesting. I would have thought that those Cup cars could have gone a little bit longer than that, so that might be tactical. The 75 going wide at the exit of turn 2, trying to get out of the way of the E-Deck Sport. That was his teammate, the 75 Cup car, with Roman Wozniak driving, as he has been from the start, and Paul Lafargue, who was also listed in that car that he's just gone by, was taking him and getting a lap back. Remember, that car, strangely lacking in performance early on. It looked a little bit unwieldy, I'll say, at this point, a little bit unsettled on its tyres. Came in exactly half an hour into the race, filled up with fuel and got a new set of Hankooks and went back out again. That might suggest, gentlemen, if he waited till half an hour, that the GT3 cars could do about an hour and a half, and he came in after half an hour and he'll go through his full 2 hours.
That's what I was thinking. That was what I thought the tactic was.
And the 33 Audi is now in fuel. And the Delta seems to be about 3 minutes if you don't do anything else other than fill up.
Okay.
That's what
the car collection cars come in, has it?
Yeah, it's been there for a minute almost now.
Dirk Parhofer, who was he was outside the top 10, but had managed to stay on the lead lap. Now he'll drop off that now, of course, but he has got his pit stop done. What will be crucial for us to find out from Nick is whether they do any more work on that car. I can't imagine a GT3 car double stinting their tyres. I stand to be corrected on that. But
and it's getting busy down there because the Vortex is at the pumps as well.
Philippe's come in. And Bert Redant's come in as well in the new GT4 Mercedes for QSR Racing School. Good first stint for Bert, he'd be happy with that. Brought the car back in the same pristine way that he started it some hour and 4 minutes ago.
So Nick's got 3 potential victims: the 33 car collection Audi, the 204 Vortex, and the 254 numbered QSR Mercedes. That will be coming into the pits. Remember, the fueling station is the first port of call here at Navarra, and from the fueling station they will then go to their pit box, if at all. I mean, I think sometime during this 12-hour race we will see teams deciding to just take on fuel and keep the tyres and the driver in, save a bit of time there with drivers and tyre change.
You can only do 2 hours as a driver.
That's right.
Remember that.
We have got just under the 2 hours to go then, so 1/3 of this first 3-hour segment in the Navarra 12 hours. Christian Frankenhout, outstanding drive, I think, at the front, commanding lead from the pole.
He's not pulling away anymore from Mauro
It's
Calabria.
been about 11 seconds, John, for the last... It was 10 seconds for absolutely ages. Then he gained a second somehow, and it's just remained at 11 seconds.
Frankenhout in the number 1 car, the dark maroon, white and black Mercedes-Benz. We've come to recognise the Hoffer Racing colours down towards the right-hander at the end of the back straight. and has 11.1 seconds on the field as Nick Damon has action in the pit lane.
We have a proper scheduled actual full stop at the right time by someone, and it's the 33 car, the car collection machine, the slate grey machine, and out has got Dirk Parhofer, in has got Isaac Tumlu. Isaac is getting a fresh set of tyres. They are not new, they are not sticker tyres. I assume they're tyres that probably did 4 or 5 laps during qualifying, and everything is going pretty standard at the moment. Looking to my right and left, we will get the Vortex in a minute. Looks like the Vortex will not be taking tyres, but will be taking a driver. And whereas the QSR Mercedes, I've got no idea what they're doing. They will probably just nicely wave at the driver again.
And that cost them, let's see, he's not moved yet. The driver was not, he's hit the tyre on the way out as well, grazed it with the left-hand side of the car because the tyre was left too close. The thing about that, Nick, is that the tyres were done some, I reckon, 10-12 seconds before the driver change was finished, so they actually did net lose time on that.
Yeah, it wasn't the slickest of driver change, which is surprising really, because even though Dirk Parhofer is a large gentleman, he got out pretty quickly.
Yeah, he did.
And so it must be an issue with Isaac and the belts, or obviously an incredibly fast bit of tyre change. But there was an awful lot of driver change practice going on this morning, so I'm surprised that people haven't seen the potential advantage of doing it. If you stay absolutely rightly there, at least 5-6 seconds wasted prior to him having a bit of a problem getting away and clunking the tyre, and that's just free time you've given up.
They've almost lost a minute. If you gauge it by the number 17 earlier, the number 17 Mercedes pitted, and they took 3 minutes and 11 seconds, wherein the number 33 Audi took 4 minutes and 7.
Less fuel.
Less fuel, yeah.
Yeah.
Half an hour's less fuel.
So what did Nick say there? About how many seconds did Nick say?
I reckon they lost 20 seconds there.
Right.
All told. Frankenhout by 10.5. Charles Esplanade now puts his fastest lap of the race in 5th position. He's got quite a gap, 20 seconds or so between himself and Max Edelhoff in 4th position. But that just underlining what I was saying before, gentlemen, that the Hankook tyres will give you good value and good grip even towards the end of the stint. Edelhoff, 4th position. And the man he's chasing, Matteo Malicelli, is a little bit further up the road. He can't be that much further up the road because he hasn't gone across the line yet. There he goes now, Malicelli in front of us, and Edelhoff's only just coming into the final corner. He's not that far behind. 19 seconds, call it 20 seconds between the leader and Malicelli. Split 10 and 10 between 1st, 2nd and 3rd. And here's Edelhoff coming across the line now, and he is 17, 18 seconds behind Malicelli.
And the pit stop for the Vortex has been taking a very long time. 5 minutes and 25 seconds and still counting. And the QSR Merc, the new GT4 car, that took the best part of 6 minutes.
Is that the Mercedes?
Yeah.
With QSR?
Yeah.
It's still showing in the pits.
It's still showing in fuel.
In the fuel, yeah. 6 minutes and 7 seconds
well,
now.
It's not as if there's a queue at the fuel station.
That's right. There's nobody in.
I think there was 8 pumps there that I counted when we went through there.
There was the usual, yeah.
Out goes the Vortex.
Yeah, Nick Damon. This is. This sounds to me as though this is just a long fuel fill, because were they in the pit lane a very long time?
No, the Vortex came in, didn't take tyres, had a driver change, which was pretty slick. They had a bit of a basic look around and a wobble of the front right tyre, but the amount of time taken to fuel these cars is, well, frankly ridiculous, because I can now see coming towards me is the 254 cars. How long has that just been the fuel stop?
Yes, all of that, rest of that time. So
I have no idea what's gone wrong. I mean, obviously it's the first time they've tried to fuel this car, and after that incident they decided to send that car out with no tyres or a driver either, even though Jimmy Dubruka, I think it was Michael Verheeren was suited and booted. They didn't take him, but that sounds like there was a problem with the pump at 6 minutes just for the fuel.
Not disagreeing with that, Nick. Thank you. Nick Damon down in the pit lane. I like this now. This is settling into a rhythm. I know it's dangerous to say that, but
it's hard to call. I mean, you don't be lulled into a sense of security from the number one Hofer car being as dominant. Remember, we've got the mix of drivers that we've got to see through
10
that
seconds
car.
ahead of the field. You can lose 10 laps by having to replace a diffuser, as we've seen.
Unknown quantity in the 15.
Daniel Alleman was planted into the 911 when that car went back out again, having lost some 15 laps to the leader. It still sits solidly in last position, although of course in A6 Pro it's fourth in class at the moment. Isaac Tutumalu has just done his and his car, being the 33 car collection Audi, fastest lap of the race, 43.1. But again, those cars have dropped off the lead lap because they've done pit stops. Do we have a pit stop on there? No, we don't, do we?
Nobody in the pits at the moment. Somebody's just gone out. That's the QSR Mercedes.
Sorry, no, I was
after a very long.
Who's made a pit. So the first car still that's made a pit stop is Paul Lafargue in the 17 E-Deck Mercedes. He sits in 14th position and is 3 laps off the leader. But if you're taking a 6-second pit stop, that's more than 3 laps straight. A 6-minute pit stop, that's more than 3 laps straight away.
Is that what we're settling on? How long it's going to take to change driver, tyres, and refuel? Well, are we saying 6 minutes?
Well, anything between 4 and 7 at the moment is what we've seen.
That's right. Because we can't really gauge the first of the E-Deck pit stop, because that didn't change.
Pit stop
they did take on tyres though.
3 minutes and 11 seconds. Paul Lafargue's pit stop was 3 minutes and 11 seconds. In has come the Huber Porsche and gone straight to fuel. That's another one of the 991 Cup cars.
They're currently in 5th in the 991 class.
Just dropped a position, that car. As
so what's running in 4th?
Lafarge. No, sorry, a position overall. My apologies.
All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Right, 5th in class. Yeah.
My fault.
14th overall.
And Mauro Calamia finds a bit of clear track and does a 41.7, a full second ahead of the leader, and all of a sudden it's back to single digits, 9.2 seconds.
Took a full second off him there.
Yeah.
Well, he's took 2 seconds off him actually, John, in the last 5 laps.
It's just traffic.
It is just traffic, yeah. We'll see what it's like this time by as we look for the 15, who should be just crossing the line now. And it's down to 8 seconds. He's took another second out of him. This is becoming apparent.
Now that's
the gap between 1 and 2.
That is not what the guys at Hoffa Racing want to see.
No.
They were hoping that Christian Frankenhout could pull a lead out. And
the other thing, John, is Malucelli has remained 10 seconds. He's remained at 10 seconds between 2nd and 3rd.
And last lap he gained on both of the leaders.
Yep, slightly.
Just by 1/10 of a second, but by a second on the leader.
Yeah.
So Frankenhout, I'll have to see when he comes round. Have you got the tracker there? Yes, you have.
Yes, I have. He's on the back straight.
Frankenhout.
He's on the back straight.
He's just had to clear the Vortex, which has just come out of the pit. So that was on cooler tyres, although we heard they didn't switch tyres. Plus another car behind it, which I don't know. Too close to see what that was. So he's just had to clear some traffic there. Malucelli though pushing on, and he's got clear air as well, as he's heading into the big stop at turn 11.
As the number 1, the leader, is heading now towards the final turn, still having to control and check that oversteer on that Ferrari. Frankenhout will come across the line now to complete 43 laps. We'll have a look and see what his lap time is as he comes through. Last time through, 42.9. Let's put that down to traffic. Let's see, he's gotten back on 42.4 this time through. And across the line now is our 2nd place Swiss team Mercedes. Mauro Calamari is into the pits. He's into the pits.
So this is a key time, and this is where Frankenhout has got to push. He's got to get those times back down close to the 1:40s that he was doing earlier on. And even Malucelli's taken another half a second out the leader. So Frankenhout going long on fuel, but losing time to the cars behind him. In the meantime, one of the fastest cars on the circuit at the moment, Isaac Tutumalu Lopez, up in the 16th position. He did a 41.912 the lap before last, now in traffic at 42.4.
Also into the pits is the number 34 car collection Audi. Max Edelhoff bringing that car in for fuel. Remember, that was the car that's perhaps made the most ground from his starting position.
Yeah, he's done a good job, Max.
Robert Luke, no, not no, sorry, it's the 15. He's falling down off the time screens. Charlie Esplanade, I should say, in the 85 Pro Sport Mercedes, moving up into third, and Robert Lucas in the number 29 Porsche, moving up into fourth because of the two cars ahead of them pit stopping. And both the number 15 Mercedes and the number 34 car collection Audi, both still in the pits, taking on fuel. Max Edelhoff will be very shortly coming to the end of his fueling and be heading towards his pit box.
Nick Damon has cars that have fueled. We have to get used to the rhythm of this thing, because it has been in the past that most of the races that I've watched, the fueling has been after the pit stop. It was Barcelona, it was before, but I think that was the last time I saw fueling before the cars came to their box.
Yeah, we've just had the 81 do a full service. I didn't see who got in, but obviously it was our co-hotelster got out. Interestingly, Max Edelhoff in the 34 is, again, just going past. He's just taken fuel, carrying out to double stint the tyres and do his full 2 hours. Got some lovely thumbs up from Elmer and his dad there, which is lovely to see. We will see a change of tyres on our second place 15 car, but not a change of driver. There's no other driver. Well, I should say that. No, both the other drivers are unsuited and booted on the side. So the 15 car, when it comes out with Mario Calamia, will just pick up some tyres and go out again. Yuri Pirsiak has gone off and finally put his helmet on for the number 11, so they will be bringing Matteo Malocelli in soon. So it's all just about to happen. Not seeing any active... Yes, Hoffer in the pit lane, so the number 1 car is out there, so I would assume he'll be bringing the car into the pits this lap.
It's just over an hour and 15 minutes plus 2 warm-up laps. Thanks, Nick. And just to finish that off, I can tell you that getting into the 81 car is Adrian Spercher, the Swiss amateur driver. So are we going to see Malocelli lead a lap as Frankenhout is in?
Leader in for the fuel. He's done... Oh, what was he still about a minute and 1 hour 16?
1 hour
16, yeah. It's gone now, but I'm taking it off the other cars because he's just come in.
Yeah, 1 hour 16 minutes or thereabouts. Now, how far up the table, the timing table, is Paul Lafarge going to go? Because he's made his first pit stop. It was a short stop. It was only 3 minutes 11. So he's going to make up a couple of minutes on the cars ahead of him. Now, he had dropped some time before. He's got 3 laps to make up.
He's come out on the tail of the 34 Audi, actually. Or the Audi's come out onto just ahead of the Lafarge Mercedes. Dropping down is the Lino Curti-driven EB Motors Porsche. EB Motors Porsche.
Let's go to Nick, who has Mauro Calamia and the Swiss team Mercedes.
No driver change, which is speeding things up, which means they will be limited to their ultimate time by the 4 tyres. 3 of them off, and now the 4th one is on, and all those 4 tyres are lovely, shiny, brand new Hankooks. The rear's still with stickers. For some reason, the fronts have had their stickers peeled off. Don't know why. I'm now going down to see the Hoffer stop.
Off to the Hoffer stop.
So that car's going to be able to do another 45 minutes and then have to come in for a driver change.
Which is just over half a stint, isn't it?
Yeah, I wonder if they've just fueled the car to 45 minutes then.
That would be it all the way.
That would be the thing to do, though.
No, fuel it all the way.
Oh, you might as well, then you say you just come in and change driver.
Because if you fuel it all the way and you get a long code 60, well, as soon as you're in to half tank, you're in the window.
I'm forgetting we've got a break. I'm thinking we're going straight through.
No code 60 so far, an hour and 20 minutes near enough in the book, and Malocelli has gone through, and therefore the 11 Scuderia Praha has been scored as the leader. There was another incident that was being investigated earlier on. 33 car I noticed was amongst that. That was Isaac Tutumulu. I hadn't seen that, and I haven't seen any penalties being applied so far. But having said that, of course, it will tend to happen when the guys come into the pit lane anyway.
Well, that car's down in 15th overall, 5th in the A6 class. The penultimate
took an early stop though. They stopped at about the hour mark.
Yeah, they did.
Just over the hour mark. Malicelli has the QSR Mercedes with Bert Redant at the wheel. Bert stayed in that car. He did the opening stint. Malicelli has a look down the inside at 9, and smartly the Mercedes stays out of his way. Now, if only the twin had done that in the 911.
I don't think he could see him. I think he was focused on the Lukash car in front of him, and I just think he was unsighted from lack of peripheral.
I think, well, okay, I'm not sure that's
true. You know what it's like in those
Ferrari
cars.
Going down to first gear for some of the hairpins, and we'll go all the way down from 4th to 1st for the final corner, whilst he comes around to put another lap in the books. A pit stop for the car that has led up right from the red lights going out. Nick Damon.
And it is tyres only also for the Hoffa car. I can see Chantal Krell has her overalls on but no helmet, and so what's happened there basically is that they've also gone with the idea of being fresh tyres, doing the full 2 hour, probably topping it back up to 120 litres, so the full tank rather than just the fill they got. And they'll obviously see what happens at the end of this, with Chantal having to run that final hour, and they'll be hoping that hour won't be enough to lose the lap. No insult meant towards Chantal.
No, that's reasonable. 20 laps at a minute 41 is well, that would be 40 minutes. Yeah, it's she's got to be cracking on a bit. She's been around about 3 or 4 seconds a lap, maybe 4 or 5 seconds a lap slower than her fastest teammate. It all depends who's out there at the same time, of course, so she might not be losing that much time to the cars around her, but it doesn't take a slide rule.
Doesn't take a slide rule, does it?
No, my travelling abacus is not required. Nick Damon, I was going to come down to you so you could tell me about the 85 car, but by the time I finished my sentence, they're gone.
And no driver change as well. Now, Charlie Putnam was suited up with the helmet, but Charles Espinlaub stayed on board. Incredibly quick stop. I've no idea what the fueling part of that was, but that to me was the fastest 4 wheels, tyres and gone I've seen.
Not
but
quite.
It's interesting that so many of these teams have decided, because of this 3-hour first section, to absolutely stretch the first driver for his full 2 hours.
Yes.
And Nick, I'm wondering if you could ask the Pro Sport team, Joe Foster or someone, was that a reaction to what they see all the other teams doing by not changing drivers? They chose to do the same.
Watch me do this live.
Go ahead.
Charlie, you're all suited and booted, but you let Charles carry on going. What's the tactics there?
Well, we thought nobody would notice. No, no. Actually, I was ready to go in. We kind of had 2 thoughts about exactly how far the car would go and whether I would get in on this stop or get in on the next stop. So we were sort of waiting to the last minute to make that decision.
Lots of guys have gone with this idea of taking some tyres but keeping the driver in the car. Is it because the way the track's running or how competitive it's been? Why has that happened this time?
Well, in this case, we left Charles in the car. He's got a little more pace than I do. We thought it would be good to have that right at the moment. The tires, you just can't double stint the tires. We're putting a lot of wear and tear on the tires, so there's no way to run 2 stints on the tires.
Thanks, Charles. Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Charlie Putnam. Yeah, and I think just before I hand this back to you, any second now, Yuri Piziak is going to get in the car because he's waiting with bated breath to take over Matteo Malatucci, who I will have a little word with. Malatucci, the Chattanooga Choo-Choo.
Okay, thank you. We're just going to head to some highlights for those of you watching on the video stream, and I'm going to make a point for those of you listening on RSL1 in a moment or two's time. So back together again, TV and radio. Pit stop times. Frankenhout, 4 minutes and 7 seconds for the fuel and 4 tyres. Edelhoff, 3 minutes and 36, but came in a little earlier than the car, so less fuel. Lafargue, 3:11, but of course that car came in after only 30 minutes. And I reckon 4 minutes and 7 is about the fastest we've seen. And there's another 4 minutes and 7. And
33.
That's a 33
Car
car
33.
collection car. Manicelli in the pit lane, having had his fuel. Nick Damon.
And at last, a proper full service driver change from one of the top few class. Car is down and ready to go. Still faffing about with the that kind of the net that prevents your arm falling out. There's a sort of NASCAR net, and they also lost, I think, about 6 or 7 seconds of what we call faffing about. They probably call very important safety procedures. And I will grab a word with Matteo when he takes his hat off.
Got to get your driver change done in less time than it takes to change the tyres. And if you aren't doing that, you're losing time at every pit stop. You have to get that done in the time it takes to do 4 tyres.
When you guys raced at Corner, that Aston Martin had 5 wheel studs, didn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't centre.
That's slow.
And did you guys manage to get the driver change done? That's probably because you had 5 wheel studs. It takes a lot longer to change the tyres, a lot longer. I don't think it's possible to change drivers in the time it takes to change wheels.
Given the restrictions,
I don't think we've seen it. We'll monitor that for the next 12 hours, but I think the centre lock one single nut is a very, very quick tyre change.
Nick Damon has got... sorry, where are you?
I'm with Matteo,
thank you.
gently. Well, Matteo, you brought the car in the lead, but that was quite an eventful first hour and a half.
Yes, the car was good. We had a good pace, but it's difficult for us to fight because of the engine. And I touch also a bit the Porsche, the Arbor Porsche. But it's difficult for me to overtake other cars. But when I have other cars behind or beside me, I let them go every time. So I'm sorry, but this time it was my turn.
Is the issue with overtaking anything to do with the overboost problem you've had, or has that been sorted out?
No, we just have a good balanced car, good braking, good speed into the corner. But compared to Porsche and Mercedes, we have less traction and less power, less torque maybe, and it's difficult for us to overtake. But once again, it was first 15 minutes, I think I let them go before, and I expected that they can do the same with me.
Were you surprised when the Porsche came back across you? Did you think you'd done enough to get the corner at that point?
I was surprised because in my mind I was expecting that they let me go because I was really faster than him.
Thanks, thanks a lot.
Yes.
You know what, in fairness to Mario, the Ferrari, from my perspective, which is for anyone watching on the stream, would have been your perspective also. The Ferrari was alongside. He couldn't turn in carrying that speed on the inside line, and obviously the Porsche was able to carry more speed to the apex by taking the more conventional line, and it was just, for me, it was a 50-50 racing incident. I don't know if anything official's been
No, well, there was no penalty served on that pit stop. That's where it would have been served.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't see anything come up on the screen.
That's just my opinion, of course.
By the way, I did mention another incident. It was the Car Collection Motorsport 33 and the QSR Racing Mercedes GT4 that was under investigation. I haven't seen anything come through for that as well. The EB Motors 73 Porsche has just put its fastest lap of the race in, 1:44.966. That's not hanging about for a Cup car, is it? And who's at the wheel of that at the moment? Which number did I say that was? The 73? Yes, the 73 is at the wheel of that, and that's Marco Fresa. Sorry, I need a bigger print copy of those.
Or a light on?
The light won't help. No, it doesn't make the print any bigger.
Opens up your eye, it narrows your eyes though. Interesting to see what's happening at the front. Robert Lucas has brought the number 29 Porsche in from the lead, obviously inherited due to this pit stop phase. He's in the fueling area at the moment.
KTM might be leading this.
KTM may be about to lead this race again because of the pit stop phases. But interestingly, that's we've got Christian Frankenhout now, our early leader, now in third from Max Edelhoff in the number 34 Audi with a lead of 13 seconds. And that's, I think, a great drive from Max in that number 34 Audi from considering where he started on this grid.
Now,
Andrew's I think.
Sorry,
car
Andrew.
29.
Car 29 with Andrew Marriott. Welcome to the pits, Andrew.
Yes, very good. Past a meal, waiting for rest of the team. Zelko Dermich is about to get into the car, just waiting patiently for that to happen. And now the car comes towards me, and let's see what he can do.
Thank you, Andrew. First set of Hankooks for that car, the number 29?
Yes, indeed.
Now in the...
Robert Lucas brings the car in. Door is open, didn't see him get out.
Unfortunately, we're not going to see the KTM lead because Frankenhout has gotten by him in that time.
Really?
Yeah, just gotten by him 4 seconds now ahead of the KTM.
Andre's watching the pit stop with the 29. You can hear the air guns going off. And their driver is changed. And they're waiting for the car to come down. Oh, no, they're not, actually. He sat on his belt there, didn't he?
I tell you what, they weren't far off it, mate. I think you're right. I think you're right. It can be done.
I think it can be done. And Andrew is standing by with the outgoing driver, Robert Lucas.
Yeah, I'm with Robert now. Good stint, and you managed to go further than the other cars, the other leading cars. You just eke that fuel out a bit more.
Yeah, we have to look for the fuel. Our speed is not the best today. Yeah, we get less fuel and less fuel. The car was getting quicker and quicker, but the pace is not there. We have to survive the whole stint, and let's see what is coming out.
How was the traffic?
The traffic is okay. We have, I think, only 20 cars on the track. Nothing special, quite easy with the traffic.
Were you trying to deliberately save the fuel?
Yeah, we try to save the fuel the whole stint. If you can go the top speed with all the guys, you have to look for the fuel. I think we stayed a long time out, and yeah, I don't actually know where we are and what's going on.
Well, you're running very strongly. Well done. Good run.
Thank you.
And the key thing about that, Joe, is they've gone to halfway through this 3-hour segment. They stretched their fuel to an hour and a half. And no sense in doing another half an hour. Get the other driver in, do the same again. You're at the end of the
They're one stopping effectively, John. They're one stopping. They've stretched that fuel to 90 minutes. They've only got another 90 minutes. It's Zico Dermich now at the wheel.
You know what I would
if he
do
can
now?
Stretch that for another 90 minutes, go ahead.
No, what I would say is that he pushes a little bit harder, and just before the pits close, he comes in when everybody else comes in, because he'll need to put less fuel in.
Yeah, but then you're not going to gain. The only way that car's going to gain is by staying out when everyone else has to come in for that 2-hour stop.
But when the guys come in for I would go longer, but not all the way to the end. You need to come in just before the pits close.
All right, let's just go through it. The leader, Christian Frankenhout, is going to have to come in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because he's at his 2-hour maximum stint.
Correct.
Who else have we got?
They're going to have to stop again because they can't get. Oh, they might be able to get the end.
Yeah, they will. They will. Max Edelhoff, he will have to come in 30 minutes because he will be at his 2-hour stint. Got nothing to do with tyres, nothing to do with fuel. Pure driver stint time. Here at Creventic, maximum stint time can only be 2 hours at the wheel. You can come into the pits 5 or 6 times if you want, but if you stay at the wheel of the car, that just accumulates to 2 hours.
Correct.
So Paul Lafargue.
Except your time in the pit lane doesn't count.
Except the time the pit lane doesn't count. So Paul Lafargue, he's an hour and 31 minutes into his stint, so 29 minutes he's going to have to pit. And I can go down the field. Yuri Pizarnik is probably going to benefit from that more than the 29 Porsche, because he's already ahead of them. And Yuri can stay, if he can stay in the car and stretch that fuel.
Paul Lafargue, though, the E-Tech car, remember they had a problem earlier on, pitted after half an hour, they're back up to 4th position.
Yeah. but they get, again, those 3 cars that I mentioned are going to have to pit.
They're back on the lead lap, the 17 car.
That's why we love these long races.
That's magnificent.
And the way that Creventic of kind of...
Visseric's on the lead lap as well, by the way.
The machinations of all the limitations on what you can do. Fuel, tyres, different configurations of car. And then add in driver stint time. And it's just, you know, that's why these races are won on the pit wall.
I reckon the top 10 are still on the lead lap, down to the car collection motorsport number 33. Yeah, that would be my guess. Yeah, the top 10 down to Isaac Tutumulu Lopez. Across the start-finish line then for the KTM, heading towards the first corner in 5th gear. He's used 99.7 litres. I can tell that because it's writ large on the dash, goes underneath the genetic, gives him a cheery wave. Nice driving both. So he's got another 10 litres in that car. That's a 110 litre tank.
I'm loving that digital dash.
It's very clear.
Yeah, very clear. I wonder if the driver's vision is hindered by his right arm, though. It's perfect for us.
Car's still moving around. Klaus Angerhoff has been in the True Racing KTM since the start of the race.
He's even got his lap time. It shows he's split. He's up by a 10th from his previous lap, or maybe his best. I wonder if that's his previous lap or his best lap. Should be his best lap, really, shouldn't it?
I like the whole thing. Each split as well is there. That's 10th down off his best. You see, predicted best, gain or loss. He's up at the moment, not down. He's up on his best at the moment.
Yeah, that's for me. He's a 10th up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I say down?
Yeah.
I meant up.
Tell you what, it's not slow through the slow corners. It's going through at 85 miles, 85 kilometres an hour.
We heard earlier
60 kilometres an hour, 58 kilometres an hour on turn 13. That's what. Let's see what he does at turn 15, the final corner.
He can't catch the Porsche Cup cars on the straight, but he's all over them in the bends, in the twisty bits.
See what his minimum speed is. 60 kilometres an hour again through the final corner. Was that a little bit of moisture coming out of the back of the Audi that's just gone by him, which would have been Isaac Tutumulu. .254 was being investigated for contact with the 33, but this time they get through turn 3 without any issue. 33 is Isaac, the car collection car, and by my reckoning, he is the last car in the lead lap, and the leaders have just gone across the start-finish line. Christian Frankenhout staying behind the wheel of the #1 car, did he? I thought he got out.
No, he stayed behind, remember?
All right. Oh, no, it was the Ferrari that changed, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
So, cars that will come in within the next 25 or so minutes will be the leading #1, the second place 34 Audi.
Yeah, let me just go back to my thought about the 17 car.
Yeah.
The reason I think that they can afford to do a second pit stop, yes, they will lose some time, but they won't lose as much time necessarily as the cars that stop before them, because they'll be putting less fuel in. So if they keep that pace up, and
why wouldn't you? Oh, you mean because they're going to be coming in on the 2 hours with still enough fuel for, still with half a tank of fuel, so to speak. I see. Yeah, we're going to have to see how that pans out. It was a very short stop. We've now seen the extent of what is needed time-wise to pit stop fully, and a very efficient stop by the leading Hofer Mercedes there.
Spin for Edelhoff, turn 3, and he almost gets picked up by the leader. He's trying to steal.
Tutumulu.
Excuse me, Tutumulu. The 33 car collection car. For a moment, I thought it was the 34. Almost got picked up by the leader, Isaac Tutumulu Lopez. He was trying to stay on the lead lap. He has now fallen off the lead lap as into the pits from 3rd position and straight to fuel. The number 116 KTM. What a run that is. That's an hour and 40 minutes. And who did we have in that car? The 116.
It was Reinhard.
Reinhard's Koffler.
Yeah.
Reinhard Koffler in that car. Well, Tatumalu didn't take tyres, if I remember rightly. That car went straight through with a cheery wave. I think that was one of the ones that Nick said. And I just wonder if he's already starting to struggle for
grip.
Yeah.
Tatumalu recovered well though. He's composed himself quite nicely. And just going through the kink at 14 towards the end of the lap. Tatumalu not really losing any places there with that harmless spin. Still 5th in the A6AM class, 10th overall. So he's gotten the car into the top 10, into the fueling area. As you said, has come the KTM, the 116, dropping out of the top of the leaderboard. Christian Frankenhout is on 1 hour and 37 minutes.
Let's go down to Andrew, who's in the KTM pit, waiting for the 116 to come around. It's in fuel at the moment, I guess, Andrew?
Yes, it is, and so too is Ferdinand Stuck. I just want to show you this on the back of his crash helmet, look. Ferdinand.
Let's have a look at that.
Oh, and now he's got joggled around to make it... Not, there we are.
There we go, so let's have a look.
Look at that, Stuck, a racing dynasty. He certainly is. The great Hans Stuck, his father, of course, and his grandfather, a fantastic racing driver in the past in auto unions. What a family.
Well, that's a very similar helmet design to his father's helmet design. Now, what he must do is continue the tradition of telling us a joke.
I'd rather hope he wouldn't.
Well, it's modern times now, John. We've moved on. It's the 21st century.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we always would get a joke and would always take us off air with Hans Stuck's joke.
Yeah,
whatever
a bit
we
of yodeling from Hans Stuck we used to get.
Yeah, we used to get a bit of yodeling.
Andrew waiting down there with Stuck Minor.
I'm not sure they're going to put tyres on this car.
Well, it's only done an hour and 40 minutes, loads of time, you.
It's very light car.
That's a good point. Klaus Angerhofer is actually having more problems with his front tyres on his KTM, Andrew, than he is with the backs. He's getting horrible understeer pretty much all the way through the corner now.
Stuck still standing here. He's got the name Stuck on his driving shoes as well. And now he's walked back to talk to the team manager. It's such a long wait. It's 3 minutes, something like that, and it feels like about 30, I think, as you're waiting for this car to come from the pumps.
Well, they're already 3 minutes and 23 seconds in the fueling station, Andrew, so that shouldn't be long before you can put that KTM team, the true racing team, to stop their nerves rattling around.
Well, eyes, I should say, are peeled, but still waiting.
Still there, 3 minutes and 44 seconds now in refueling. That's hard to judge. I'll keep an eye out. They'll probably come into your view. Here it comes indeed.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, car coming towards us, lights ablaze. Ferdinand Stuck, I think is the younger of the two sons, isn't he? About to jump into the car. It's like an elastic band, and the car stops. Doesn't even stop right at the mark. Stops a little bit early. That clamshell comes off. It's quite easy to get in and out of this car. So Stuck already being strapped in. And a little bit of work of just checking the oil consumption with an old-fashioned dipstick, which is a bit of a surprise, undone by the guy with the Nürburgring on the back of his right calf. Now the engine cover goes back on, and I think they're going to be away very quickly. I have not put any tyres on at all. Just having a look at the rear. So they look in very good shape indeed to me. Very good guy from Koffler there, and I'm going to grab hold of him just in a moment. So bear with us, we'll come back when we've got the driver ready for the interview.
Thanks, Andrew. get back to him in a moment. 15th and 16th having a battle. The Porsche Lorient Racing 991, number 64. And the car ahead is the car that it is battling. That's the Huber Racing car.
That's a battle for 5th and 6th in class.
Yeah. And they are very similar cars, so their lap times are the same. Oh, the Vortex has gone off and it's hit the wall. 204 is off. Right, if you need fuel, get in now. Even if you don't, get in fuel now. And Lafarge comes in straight away. That is brilliant.
I think he's beaten the code 60 in as well, John. There's no code 60 yet. It's still green, so he's going to be able to take on a full fuel quota. Remember, code 60 rules.
An hour and 14 to go. It's a turn 9 at the end of the back straight.
It's only a local yellow so far. No sign of any code 60. That'll be assessed.
Might be too early for those guys, actually. Lafarge will he'll get out of the car. Lafarge will get out of the car at this point. It makes perfect sense for him to get out the car. He only had 15 minutes left. Calamia out of that car, and the Snatch tractor going down to retrieve the 204 Vortex on the exit of turn 9. It's a long way off. We might not need a code 60, but having a Snatch vehicle there might make it necessary. Let's whilst that's going on, let's head to the pit lane and to the KTM pit with Andrew.
Yeah, with Reinhard, super drive. He got the car right up to second place.
Yes, it was just a really good first stint, and we had a little problem to keep in the range of the 45, which we cannot go under, but still we had an amazing first stint, so I also could save the tires for my second co-driver, Stuck. He's now in the car, Ferdinand, and he will do a good job, I think, so looks not too bad for us.
You're the main works driver for KTM, of course. You've done a lot of work on this machine.
Yes, but we always bring new stuff, so it's quite a new thing for us, and we are quite happy to be here. But yes, I try to do my best.
In the winter, I think you worked on the engine particularly. You've made quite a few changes to the engine.
Yes, especially on the engine, we try to improve the gearbox, and yeah, it's a complete package, which needs now to work out, but it doesn't look bad if we enter on P2, so we are quite happy.
Now, in your youth, you were one of the star karters in the whole of Europe, weren't you? You were a factory kart driver. Just tell us a bit about that. You won the European Championship.
Yeah, it was good times in '99 when I became European champion in front of Luis, Kubica and Rosberg. So it was really an amazing time, but now we are here and I'm also pretty happy and with the son of some legend of Stritzer Stuck, so we are really happy here.
Yeah, we just got a code 60 for you saw the Vortex crash there. That should have crashed a few minutes earlier and you would have got virtually a free pit stop then.
Yeah, it's a shame, but when I stand here and see the code 60 and talk with you, but probably next time we have the luck on our side. Now we had a little bit of bad luck.
Very nice attitude, thank you. Go and have a quick rest.
Good stuff from the KTM pit, and no hint as to what's happened with the 204. It's at the end of the back straight.
It's a firework, remember?
Yeah, it's got a V8 Corvette engine. Can't see the left rear of the car, and that's where the damage is, but the right rear is completely out of the gravel. I think the suspension damage on the left rear there,
There's
Joe.
something keeping it off. The right rear wheel is in the air. It is. It's not being lifted at the back. It's being dragged by a tow hook at the front of the car.
There's an optical illusion with the gravel.
It's
on
grounding, isn't it?
skirt.
It's grounding. That's what it is. The car is grounding across the gravel. It did look like it was levitating. Yeah. The 204 being pulled out of the gravel. Now, are we going to see? Are we going? It's not touching the gravel yet. Are we going to see the three leading cars come into the pits?
Into the pit lane from fourth.
Where's the number one? Now, the number one
is coming round now. It's gone through. The number one's gone through.
He has gone through. Has he gone through? That's what our tracker's telling us.
Yes, it has gone through.
Yeah. The 29 has come into fueling, but the number one and the we're looking for the number 34. That currently is going through turn 10. And Christian Frankenhout has gone by, so he has not taken advantage. The Hofer team choosing not to take advantage of the code 60.
Well, destroyed left rear to that car. I thought there might have been suspension damage. Now the question for me is that cause or effect and we won't know until we've spoken to the driver. It was behind the wheel of the 204. It was Philippe, wasn't it, who was behind the wheel of that. Philippe Canal. And that car is going to take some shifting. It's running on its own bodywork, which is why it's effectively the whole front of the car is off the ground. That car is done and done.
That's not going to rub out.
All right, we're in our first code 60, leading Christian Frankenhout. He's gone through past the start-finish line. Max Edelhoff has come in the car collection. He came in when he could only get half tank, but they've only just been in. So that means that it won't be a massive disadvantage. However, the 17 has come in and changed driver and has gone out. Dimitri Angelebert has got about an hour and 10 minutes to run. And he will run to the checkered flag, I'm sure, from here. First full course caution, or the code 60 as I should more properly say. We're live from trackside at Navarra. You're listening to sound from RS1 around the world. Well, this is terrible news from the guys from Vortex. The driver is out of the car and he's not with it anymore. Andrew, are you in the Vortex pit down there?
No, I'm just about to leg it down. I was just trying to get an interview with Paul Lafargue, and not too many people refused me, you know, but he has just said, no interview. So I think that's totally unprofessional, frankly, but there you are.
I don't think he was happy with what happened at the start of the race for whatever happened, but Paul, the son of Lafarge Père et Fils, who is in that. So we've got an hour and 8 minutes to go, and the code 60 is out. I think that's great tactics though from the 17. Dimitri Angelebert. Now, where is he? Has he dropped one lap or two? He's only dropped 2 laps. And in fact, he might have only dropped 1. I'll have to wait to see when he comes round. Depends where he got out. So they've changed their driver. Why is Frankenhout not come in? He's got to get out that car in 12 minutes.
I know, that's what I can't understand. I really can't understand. I mean, I know he's stretching that 12 minutes to the very end. Maybe they're monitoring.
The only thing that I can think of is that they want to put full fuel in it. But basically, they could have come in now, half-fueled it, got him in and out of the car, and then, if they're necessary, splashed again.
Yeah. You've got to consider the 43 seconds extra time you're going to soak up to get into the fueling station. But under code 60, you lose less track time within that 43 seconds. So it makes a lot more sense with such a long fueling channel, if you like, or fueling route. I can't understand that. I really can't.
Unless they've got a communications problem, but somebody of Christian's experience will know that he's coming through. Now, his pit stop time doesn't count, so he has still got 11 minutes to get to the pit lane. The Vortex is completely done, and we've got a circuit car, one of the new Seat Aronas, the new urban SUV as it's described on the side of the car. And we've just gone back to green, have we? Yes, we have. Green flag is flying, and very quickly indeed. Yuri Pisharik saw that and dived straight through on the inside of the Ginetta and gets back up to pace very quickly indeed. Smart driving for the second place car, who is just coming round to complete. Frankenhout with a big lead in terms of track position. Nick Damon joins me in the booth as Joe Bradley goes for his splash and go. or at least a fuel stop.
I can't remember who it was in the Italian Porsche. Please know there is pasta.
It was the Calmi brothers.
There is pasta for lunch, dinner.
Is there anything else other than that, or is it not worth me going?
No.
Okay.
There's a fabulous selection, including salad.
Let's go back to Andrew down in the pit lane. Which garage are you at now, Andrew?
I've just been at Hofer, and they tell me the reason they didn't stop is because they've got 80 litres still in the car. And that's why they thought they could stay out.
Right.
Lose too much time.
Lose too much time, yeah. Thank you, Andrew.
I think that I counted it 43-second in and out compared to the normal, 12, 15, is a massive changing point on whether it makes well to come in for on code 60.
Except Christian Frankenhout's got to get out in 9 minutes. He's got to. He hasn't got any choice in that. So why wouldn't you put half the fuel in, top it absolutely full, and then it'll go all the way to the
80
end?
litres, they're allowed to take another 50 litres, I think, or 55, so it'll be completely brimmed. Yeah, it makes no sense.
It gives you a strategic advantage for tomorrow morning.
Unless their back counting is that extra 12 minutes, which is 5 laps of Chantel, would take them down the lap.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, I just talked in 4 laps' time. But I think you're right about Chantal. They've obviously done their sums. They're a very clever Swiss team. They've worked it all out. I reckon this is the best way to do it.
Okay, so 4 laps of green flag racing would have made the difference. Because if you'd got Chantal in, she'd have been done 3 laps behind under code 60, where she would have gained and lost nothing.
You'd be saving about...
And they're going to lose more time.
A minute.
They're going to lose more time than those 4, even if Chantal is 5 seconds a lap slower than the car that she's racing. That's only 20 seconds. You're going to lose more than that by doing a green flag stop.
I agree. Makes no sense. It's just, I mean, at the end, tomorrow evening you might go, oh, it doesn't matter. But it may well be that when Andrew and I sit down to do the little sit down at the end and chat about turning points, that accident for the Vortex could be one.
The only possible thought was that they might have thought that Christian Frankenhout would be able to put a lap on the field, but he's not going to do that because Pisarik is driving as quickly as he is.
That doesn't matter now. Having a lap on the field with an hour to go, it's like, and?
Yeah, but also, even if he got a lap on the field, he's still going to lose more than he's gained because everybody behind him has done a code 60 pit stop.
No idea. Makes no sense. And they've been in this series longer than anyone else, so.
Well, the champion team. Hard. I need that explaining to me. I really do. But I'll defer judgment. Early days, it might still come to them. But at the point that they were on the circuit, I think it's a brilliant move for the 17 guys, the EDEC Mercedes. They've dropped back to 7th position, and of course they've dropped off the lead lap. But by the time Frankenhout stops and they do a green flag pit stop, Chantal's not even going to be in the top 6. She's going to be 7th or 8th.
No, and depending on how well Scuderia Ferrari can actually run out their fuel, there's a possibility it's right on the edge. They won't have to stop again today. They'll be running, what, I suppose they'll be near, 134. It was a stint. They'll be quite empty starting tomorrow, but they have a lap start. They probably go for that.
Yeah, Pisarik might not have to stop again, you're right. It all depends if people stop again before the end, and that's maybe what they're banking on. That was our first code 60 for the 204, which I'm going to say at the moment, I won't say it's done for the weekend, because that's not the type of race. And remember, just because that car was pulled away doesn't mean it can't get back in the pits on the back of a low loader. That's the only way it's coming back, by the way, and get rebuilt. I don't think we'll see that again tonight, shall we say. If they're going to work on it all night, they'll take another 10-lap penalty, and they may still not be out in the morning. The other car that's fighting back, of course, is the 911. Ralph Bourne now at the wheel of the Herberth Porsche. And that car did stop as well under the code 60, but remains 14 laps off the lead at the moment, but we'll grab some of that back. It'll grab 1, possibly 2 laps back, depending on the speed of Ralph Bourne in that car, because we're going to lose the number 1 car out of the top 6 when it makes its stop to give it over to Chantal.
The third place 34 car with Elmar Green in the car collection and the 85 car with Charles Putnam in the Pro Speed, they do not need to stop again this evening. They'll be on 1 hour 7 and 1 hour 8 respectively at the end of today, so they can take this thing to the end no problem at all.
Don't forget the 29 car did an hour and a half on its fuel,
and they're only 2 laps back, so Chantal will come out behind them after her stop.
Chantal is going to come out behind the Isaac Tutumulu car collection car.
I think she'll come out behind the 29 car. I think she'll. I don't think it's quite that big a drop. I think
it's got to be 3 laps.
4 minutes 240 seconds. That's 200. That's 2.5 laps, isn't it?
Well, okay. Well, now in fairness, they won't have to put a lot of fuel in it because it only stopped half an hour ago.
Well, it makes sense.
No, it didn't.
Don't forget, the thing about it is that when we get to the end of the 3 hours, you start with the tyres you finished on, you start with the fuel you had, but you get a free driver change.
Yeah.
So if you say, right, we're going to give Chantal an hour, but we're going to put a lot of fuel in so we can actually run a decent time tomorrow morning, perhaps with Kennett, to get away from the field again and move back up again.
Engelbert is getting the wiggle on in the 13. Great time from him. A 1:41.4 is the fastest lap of the race for the 17 E-Deck Sport Mercedes. Now, I think Engelbert will go past the Hofer. We'll see it in one more lap. He's got to come in at the end of this one.
Yeah, he's just in a 1:41.1, so he was by far the fastest car on the track. Then he is the last of the opening professionals still running.
And he's got less fuel in the car than everyone around him by quite some margin. And he took tyres as well, didn't he? At the first stop, didn't double stint the tyres.
Yeah, so if you look at
by the way, he has to come in this time around, because if he doesn't, and there's a code 60, he's going to go over time.
And get a time penalty. It was 4 laps, I think he's about that now, which Andrew told us. I think the interesting thing also is that there's a kind of a situation here where, actually looking at the last laps, certainly the 29 with Zedko, Dimitrov, Charles Putnam, Elmar, they're both doing 146s, 145s. So Dimitri running at pro pace at 141. The only other, Isaac's Tutumulu 142.1. They're the only 2 running at pro pace. Everyone else is running at gentleman, well, good gentleman driver pace.
Leaders in the fuel. Leaders in the fuel. And comes to stop on his marks exactly. The team go to work and start to fill with the fuel pump. So perfect time for us then to look at the standings. Christian Frankenhout gave up the lead the last time he stopped. They've eschewed the opportunity to come in under a code 60. He's done 3-4 more laps. He will hand the lead over to the Bohemia Energy Racing with Scuderia Praha Ferrari in second place, with Yuri Pisharik doing decent times around about the 1:44s, 1:45s depending on traffic, so that 1:24 is going to evaporate. Also going through will be the Car Collection Motorsport number 34, Elmar Grimm. He's doing low 44s. He's impressed me this weekend. He's got his head round this track. He's been really, really good. Charles Putnam will go through and improve the position of the number 85 Mercedes, as will the Porsche in 5th position, the black and orange car, as will the Swiss team Mercedes, and I think Engelbert will go as well. As through goes Pisharik to take the lead behind our caption. Leading in the 991 category, EB Motors, the 73 car in 9th position. Leader in SPX in 10th position, the 116 KTM Crossbow from True Racing. And as we have a look at the rest of the field, the other class leader is the 446 GT4 Ginetta in 17th position. This is the Endurance Team Romania car. Biggest news in there is that the Vortex V8 is going to be standing still for a very long time with destroyed left rear suspension and underfloor. It's just been delivered into the pit lane, actually, back to its pit, and still in 21st position, not even on our top 2 pages, the Herbeth Motorsport car, which had to replace an underfloor, under-engine diffuser early on and lost 14 laps. It's just got one of those laps back. Let's go straight to Andrew after that update, where the number 1 car is in the pit lane with him.
Yeah, Chantal is already in the car with that crash helmet bedecked with various flowers. And Christian walked away from the car so slow. I've never seen a racing driver walk away from a car after a stint like that at such an amble. I'm going to go into the pits and see if I can grab him, get a few words.
Taking a long time. This is taking a long...
Just taking his crash helmet out.
Taking a long time. Still, that car hasn't come down off its jacks. That was
off the jacks now and hours away.
No idea why they held that car so long. Chantal looked to be in the car. There was some fumbling going around at the left rear that I couldn't quite see from our vantage point. Now, the good thing about this is that the incoming driver gets to do all the sitting around in the pit lane. She goes out onto the circuit, wiggling the car.
3 minutes 27, John.
Right, okay. Well, we've 3 minutes 11 is the fastest one that we've seen, with the 17 car making that early stop after half an hour. Let's find out what Christian Frankenhout has to say. Led from the moment the red lights went out and only gave up the lead on the pit stop cycle. Andrew is down in the pit lane.
Wow, what a fabulous stint, mate.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Still pretty hot. You think, okay, the sun is down and now it's okay, but it's still hot in the car. But it went okay. You know, at the end of the stint, the tires are getting a little old, a lot of understeer, but okay, I managed it. And yeah, we're 2 great hours, and hopefully we can still be in front at the end of the 3 hours, not today.
I think you were taking a bit of a gamble, not coming in under the code 60, though.
Sorry?
Do you think you gambled a bit, not coming under the code 60?
Maybe a little bit, but yeah, the team made the decision, okay, drive. So I drove, and yeah, drove as fast as I could.
That's all you can do?
Yeah, that's all I can do. So they made the calculation, and I think it will work, but we need to see after the 3 hours what happened.
Absolutely. What's the plan for tomorrow? Will you start again?
I don't think so. I think Kenneth will start tomorrow, and I think I will drive at the end somewhere.
Excellent. Go and take a well-earned rest. Good run.
Thank you, Andrew.
And that makes perfect sense to me, because you get that free pit stop, you get that free driver change.
I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but they've come out right behind Zeko Drimic, as I said, they were in 5th.
Okay.
So ahead of Christoph Lenz and Dimitri Engelberg.
Engelberg. The 17 and 15 cars, the Mercedes, battling for 5th and 6th, and the 17 has just gone through, taking the position, but the EDEC Sport car is not pulling away. The Swiss team having another look at that. Oh, they're all on the dirty part of the circuit as they pass the slower traffic, and Swiss team racing down the inside has managed to do it, had to take slightly more curb than he might have had to take. This is a great run by Dimitri Engelberg. And Christoph goes back a position, so that's the battle for 5th, for 6th and 7th. Well, they needed less fuel, clearly, than I thought they would in the number 1 car. Chantal Kroll has only dropped then
to 5th.
Now I'm trying to work out how much time they've dropped in that. What did you say they were? 3:26?
Yeah, 3:26.
So they're off the lead lap now.
So it was 206 seconds, so 2 laps and 6 seconds. Well,
right.
Well, 2 laps at the race pace at the moment, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's advantage Piziak, he's got a lap on everyone.
Yeah.
So the question he has now to worry about is...
No, he hasn't.
He's got a minute, so he's got a minute on Elmar, yeah.
Elmar Grimm, who's lapping not that much slower. The Vortex meantime has been delivered back to the pit lane, and Andrew Marriott is overlooking the sorry scene.
I am, but I think it's repairable for tomorrow morning. Actually, I was seeing I mean, this thing is built like a brick. What's it? You know, it really is. Great heavy tubes and huge, great heavy suspension parts. Some of them are broke on this left rear end. There's some aluminium plates which hold the bodywork are all crumpled up. Maybe I just can't get my cameraman to come and show us, and he's shaking his head, so I think he's got a problem. I don't know what that is. But just looking at it, yeah, it needs a lower wishbone, upper wishbone, I think.
Andrew, is there any news from the team as to whether that was cause or effect? And were they hit? Was it contact with another car?
I'm going to try and find out that. I just was looking in the car and find a driver. In fact, one of the officials from Creventic, are usually so friendly, is telling me to go away, which we don't normally expect.
The team are motioning your cameraman away as well, which why we didn't get a shot of that. We'll have a quiet word, perhaps not on the air live, and see what's happened there. But clearly some consternation down at Vortex.
There is good news. There's a complete spare car in the back of the garage, so they have a complete set of parts.
One thing that they haven't done right is that their driver has disappeared.
Yes.
And there's still a note, and it has been there for some time. I haven't mentioned it, but I will now, as the car's back to the pit. The driver's not reported to the medical centre. He got out and walked away.
Perhaps he's worried about the excess and his insurance and just left.
Yeah.
Where is he? He's gone. It's Bilbao Airport. He's gone.
Yes, what was his name?
Who knows?
Dave Miggins.
Poor old Dave, in trouble again. So the EDEX Sport car now is right up behind Chantal Kroll. Now, is this getting a lap back, or this will be getting a lap back, won't it?
No, that's position. That's a position.
Absolutely steamy along Dimitri, isn't he? So he's now taking that position. He's relegated Chantal to 6th.
That's 5 seconds he took out of her in the last 3 laps.
Now, of course, none of this matters if they stay on the same lap, or relatively the same lap as the leader, of course.
It's not going to. There's 48 minutes.
Same lap behind as such as the leader. And I think, remember, but one of the things that's really quite strange is if the leader gets between them, then you can be a whole lap behind.
Well, Ange Lebert at this pace is going to put another lap and a half on Chantal Kroll before the end of the race.
Got 48 minutes, so he's got 26 laps?
So that's a lap and 30 seconds. He's going to put another lap and 30 seconds on her at that pace, assuming he keeps it up that pace. The leader at the moment, it's not so bad from the leader, although she did a 48 that time around, so that's 6 seconds to the leader. She needs to be lapping in 46s, 45s, 46s, because that's only losing a couple of, or 3 or 4 seconds to the guys in the lead cars. And the guys in the lead cars are not the quickest guys in the lead cars at the moment. So this is good tactics from the 17 EDEX Sport, from the #1 Hofer Racing team. But for this to make any sense, not bringing her in and getting some free laps for her, they've got to get her down to the 44-45 second mark. Back to Andrew, who has more news from the pit lane.
Now I've got a Vortex update. The team say they have enough parts to repair this car, because as we just heard on the commentary, they do have a spare chassis here. It's a matter of whether Creventic will let them. Creventic technical crew are looking at the car and they're worried about the integrity of that chassis. Now, it looks all right to me, but that's what they're waiting for Creventic to say, yes, you can use this chassis again, just bolt on the new suspension, or that we want you to park the car for the rest of the meeting. So we'll probably find that out in the next 20 minutes or so.
Thanks, Andrew. I should say that they are not at the Vortex garage there. I think that's outside the scrutineering garage at the start of the pit lane.
What it is the Vortex are actually actually one of the last garages, well, one of the earliest garages in the pits, one of the last actually used garages. And so what's happening with them is that they actually are pitting a bit back from their own garage.
All right, okay, I see.
Interesting, Yuri Puziak is about to get, well, sorry, I should put it the right way around. Charles Putnam is a good chance of unlapping himself from Yuri Puziak. So that's, yeah, there's a couple of cars which are going particularly well. I think this 85 Pro Sport.
No, I think he's just lost a lap because he's slower.
Oh well, it was a very interesting couple of corners prior to Andrew's report, but it may well be right. But even so, I'm very impressed with the 85 team. They've got the handle on that car after looking a little bit all at sea, in fact, in the first 2 races, having a few accidents.
I think, interestingly enough, I think the nature of this circuit suits considered gentleman driving. I said I would like to race here. I would like to race here because I think this would suit my style of driving.
And do you think that despite not being a great qualifying car, the Audi is a good car for your less pro drivers?
I think that looks a comfortable car to get your race
It looked
pace in.
comfortable when we were watching it on yesterday.
On the long runs.
So perhaps that's where you want to get to.
The reason I think that this is a good track that I would enjoy driving here is getting the ultimate pace here from your pro driver means clobbering curbs, means taking risks, and you have to be pretty much doing a qualifying lap everywhere.
And quite rough on the car, quite unkind on the car.
Yes, agreed. Whereas if you're rolling out of the throttle, rolling through the centre of corners, if you've got a nice smooth style, you're not using up your tyres, and as we saw before with the 29 Porsche, wasn't it saying, well, we haven't got the speed, so we went in fuel save mode right from the start, and they got an hour and a half out of that car. Well, that's going to pay dividends because they're only 1 lap off the lead at the moment, and they're going to save a couple of green flag pit stops, at least, if they continue with that tactic. I think if you can calm your gentleman drivers down and get them smooth, the tuition that if we were looking at data as a team, the tuition that would have been going on through a 3 or a 4-man team would be through all the hairpins. How do we get the car to rotate? How do we get the minimum corner speed up just a little bit without ragging the tyres and without hitting the curbs? And I think that the clever teams have done that. And I think, and you know, we were talking earlier on, Elmer Grimm's doing a fantastic job. 43.7 last time around. He's lost 1 second to Yuri Pisharik at the front of the field. He's lost no time at all to Charles Putnam. In fact, he's put time into Charles. The Porsche, he's lost no time at all to them. The guys who are pushing on at the moment, the 15 Swiss team car, 140 point... What does that say?
The last lap was 146. They've had traffic last time round.
All right, okay.
And so the fastest last time round was Isaac Kutumla with 142.4. Unfortunately, Chantal still is back in the 148s. Now, she's not normally...
She was 46
off this.
in
You
practice.
think she'd be 46, 45. So whether the car's not coming to her liking or she's just having a particularly bad time with traffic, who knows?
Don't forget those tyres are still pretty new. She'll be looking after them. She wants to go all the way to the end tonight. But I still don't get the logic of Hoffa Racing with eschewing the opportunity of getting... It's not about what Chantal was doing in the car, it was the fact that they could have saved time getting Frankenhout out.
The question is, how much extra fuel were they able to get into the tank because they waited a bit extra? Did they get more than half a tank in? If they got more than half tank in, did they need to get more than half tank in to get to the end of the day? So were they effectively saying, well, if we don't do it, we're going to have to stop again anyway?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it makes absolutely no sense.
Let me run through the classes. GT4, still the Endurance Racing Romania team. 446 GT4 leader is the Ginetta in 17th position. 991 leader. Actually, I should have said SPX leader because it's Ferdinand Stuck. Ferdy Stuck ahead of his teammate car by only 40 seconds now. That's a good drive back by the 117. First and second in SPX for the two True Race KTMs. They are in 10th and 11th. The 991 leader in 9th position. And Marco has been doing a great job in the EB Motors car. And Marco Fresia, the Italian semi-pro, and turned a couple of fastest laps of the race for that car. So well done to him, and he's now inside the top 10. A6 Am is the second place car of Elmar Grimm. That's the car collection number 34 Audi, looking very, very comfy indeed. 43.8 and then a 44.2. All right, that was a bit of traffic. He's dropped to a minute away from the leader. And leading the race, and A6 Pro Yuri Pisharik in the Bohemia Energy by Scuderia Praha, 42.5 last time around. And it is going to be couple of laps, and Chantel's going to be down behind the 33 car collection car. They're still only 1 lap off the lead, all of these cars that we're talking about. The first car that is more than 1 lap off the lead is, I think, the 991 leader.
Okay, yeah.
Tatumalu will come round and be the last car.
No,
he's gone
laps
back.
back, yeah.
Yeah, he's gone back now. Yeah, my apologies.
The question really about where we're going to end up at the end of this session in 40 minutes' time is whether they're going to run the Ferrari to the end of the day and then start on fumes tomorrow, or they're going to pull it in and take the advantage. If as long as they're not a complete lap back, they'll gain 2/3 of a lap for free. Because obviously, if you're leading by a lap and a second, it's the same as leading by a lap and a minute and a half. So it's a balancing act to make sure if you can gain as much as possible, and by being 99 out of 100 seconds behind the lap, you still get that whole lap back again. So the people now will be very much looking about how we can back time this end of the first half race in 3 hours. Starting tomorrow, you start on with the fuel you have, you start with the tyres you had, but you do get a free driver swap. So it's normally we find this completely different set of plans, and obviously you need enough fuel to do your 2 warm-up laps in the morning and a racing lap, so you can't actually be completely on nothing. But my guess is that probably Yuri Piziak will come in with the Scuderia Praha Ferrari. I think it's just a bit too long to run an hour and 34. Just because I think it would just take away all their options at the start of tomorrow. So I think we will see Yuri come in, which may mean that actually leading the race at the halfway, so that's a 1/4 stage and the overnight halt, might be Elmar Grimm and Car Collection.
You know what? When you were doing your grid walk and you were around that number 34 car, I thought that was uncharacteristically down the grid. I just thought Max Edelhoff just drove a storming stint there.
I think whilst you were having it finished doing, but what happened was John
Can I just say, Nick, I've slipped away for what, 20 minutes or so, right? I've come back. Are we still in Navarra? Is this still the same race?
Same race.
All right, so I mean, I'm going to be self-indulgent here and say, for my benefit, what happened to the number 1?
Didn't stop under the code 60 and then stopped a full service, which dropped it back 2.5, 3 laps under green. We've seen some
explanation why?
Apparently it wasn't in the window. To us it was, but to them it wasn't in the window. They wanted to run exactly the 2 hours for Christian. It makes no sense. John and I have talked about it on 3 different angles, and it makes no sense.
Let's not revisit that.
Dimitri Engelberger in the ADEC car, the 17, is the fastest car out there and has been climbing the field slowly. Charles Putnam has just dropped off the lead lap. Elmar Grimm is putting in some very consistent laps in the Audi, which again we're postulating might be the easiest car to consistently lap with. If you're a gentleman driver.
John did say that just watching them yesterday in the test session. He said that was the car that looked the most balanced and looked like it was the less of a handful in those. The nature of the Navarra track, there are lots of heavy braking areas where you have to turn the car as well as brake.
You're in second gear more here than you'd normally be in a racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Sometimes first, but it's a...
Yeah, and you're turning and braking at the same time, and race cars just don't want to do that. They just don't like to do that.
They're recalcitrant old things, aren't they, really? They just want to go very, very fast in a straight line.
It's called physics.
Well,
it's the law of physics.
No one likes that. I didn't like it at O-level. I certainly didn't like it at A-level, and I failed it miserably. So Elmar Grimm and Charles Putnam are leading the way in AM. It's still Yuri Piziak leading in Pro. Second place is Zeko Drimic from the Foch Racing team, the team that's effectively decided to just go into fuel-saving mode from lap 1 and will be in fuel-saving mode till the end of the 12 hours, but it is a way of getting by, especially with the historical better fuel consumption we have seen historically from the Porsches. So it's all kind of buzzing about. Chantal Kroll, good for her, got herself into 1 minute 45, and perhaps nearer the target time after a couple of 48s, and that sort of 2 seconds drop will keep her in contention. But it is now a point where people are going to be turning laps. We will get a stop soon from Isaac Tatumalu in the 33. He's done an hour and a quarter in the car. That's really the only person who's definitely going to come in, I think, from the A6, be they AM Pro. And then if you look a bit further down, it's really whether Yuri Piziak comes in. He's done 57 minutes already with 36 to go, so he'd have to get 1:34 to the end. And I've not seen the Ferrari ever do more than about an hour and 25, an hour and 20, that car, on the stint at any event.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, neither have I.
The others, Grimm, Putnam, Dimitri Engelbert, Christoph Lenz, none of them need to come in. They're only on half an hour. Chantal don't need to come in, might tactically decide to do it. And it's only a question really whether Zeko Drimic in the 29 might come and do a big fill-up to start on a full tank tomorrow. But I think what I will say, I think some of the tactics we may have seen are being severely affected by that long run in and long run out into the fuel stop round the boot. You know, I was trying to think how long it normally takes, and I reckon it normally takes about 12 seconds, 12 to 14 seconds of extra. Less when we've had it at the front of Mugello. It took 3 seconds, didn't it? Because you just pulled off the pit lane and got back and going again. But I was thinking like a typical one, like you know, even
Silverstone.
They went in a garage, went round a circle, came out again. So if you actually count the bit where it's 12, 15 seconds, suddenly you're looking at 43 to 45 seconds. So you're looking at an extra half a minute of trundling, and it affects all your maths.
Andrew Marriott is waiting patiently. Andrew?
Yeah, with the man you were talking about, the young man who did such a good job, Max Edelhoff. Well, that was a very good stint for you, and it's put your car in a very good position at the end of the 3 hours, we think.
Yes, it was a good start. I get one position in the front, and after the start, I was able to go with the pace of the leaders, and so yeah, we had a good car for the long ones, not for the qualifying. We knew that, and I think I did the best I can, and it was good. Yeah.
Good. And you think the car will go to the finish now? You won't stop again in this 3 hours?
I'm not very sure, because maybe we have to refuel again, or for the next day we're going to refuel. I think it depends on the end how AMA is doing, and I think it's a decision we decide later.
Who makes that decision? Peter Schmidt?
No, our engineer David is doing the decision, and Peter Schmidt is not today. Our team chef, he's also in the car.
He's a driver, that's it, yes.
He's also a driver, so David is making the decision.
And, well, our very clever people in the commentary booth think that you might be leading at the end of the 3 hours, because they think the Ferrari is definitely going to come in, and they don't think you are.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it would be nice to lead the race. It's like in Imola. It was a very nice experience for us, and but I think we will see it at the end of the race.
Very good, and what a lovely smile too. Well done.
Thank you, Andrew, down there in the pit. Max Edelhoff out of the number 34
That was quite funny, because I always think of Max as a little lad, and obviously he's towering over Andrew.
Yes, he is. Andrew didn't have his box.
That's true.
I tell you what, it's considering, you know, all right, we're coming up to about 30 minutes remaining in this first 3 hour segment. We've still got 9 hours tomorrow, and what this 3 hours is all about is just staying within eyesight of the leader, isn't it? Staying on that lead lap, and job done so far. Doesn't matter whether this
also having your car in the position you want it for tomorrow. Tyres, fuel. I mean, you might want it not to have tyres and fuel, because you might want to be. As you say, you're playing with that idea of how many laps, solid laps behind, can I afford to be, based on how much fuel and tyres I've got to start tomorrow.
Yeah, well, you mean sacrificing a lap at the end of this 3 hour stint to put you then back in contention when everybody ahead of you has to stop?
Is if your lap takes 1 minute 44 seconds, you want to have done everything you can possibly be and be 1 minute 43 seconds behind the guy ahead of you.
Yeah, true.
Because you've got free time at that point, which you can use to get more fuel in or get a tyre change done.
That's very true. An eagle-eyed Alan Prosser at Lanzarote Camel is asking how tough are the officials on people breaking the code 60 speed limit, because he's tweeted a lovely picture from in-car on the 33 doing 86 kilometres per hour. Well, how the officials gauge it is by sector times, and at 60 kilometres, time over distance equals speed. And as long as your sector time comes through, I suppose, as long as you're not doing 86 kilometres past the area of incident, I think that's how it's policed, basically. So
yeah, it's all done time.
They're not omnipresent and all seeing.
It doesn't use micro-sectors like you see in F1 or anything like that. It just uses the three main sectors. You've got a time for the lap, minimum time for the three sectors. If you blow any of those, then you are in big trouble. In fact, there's a problem for car 34. The team manager has been asked to report to the race director, so our second place man could be heading for some form of penalty. We get no more information about why it isn't team manager because of potentials. Well, it could be speed in the pit lane. It could be anytime they give you a penalty, they'll nip across and call you up, even if it's like a track limit, a multiple track limits leading to a stop, a 10-second stop penalty. So, but it's not good being called up.
No, it may be some kind of pit stop infringement. It's around about that amount of time before, allowed the officials to get their heads together and come up with.
It's late for a Code 60 infringement.
Yeah, let's pop down to the pits, see if Andrew can shed any light on that or anything else.
Not on that. I'll pop in there in a second because I've just been with Scuderia Praha and Joseph Kral confirms to me they are definitely going to make a pit stop just 2 or 3 laps before the end, or the last possible moment they can. So they will make their pit stop.
And Andrew, is that so that they will start tomorrow's fresh 9 hours with brand new tyres and a full tank of fuel?
Yeah, and a different driver, of course.
And a fresh driver.
Well, you get a fresh driver for free.
That's right, you get a free driver. That doesn't your stint time doesn't extend into tomorrow, does it?
Well, that's correct.
The thing to look at, I suppose, we're thinking about, they're currently leading by, I think, 45, 50 seconds. And then they've got a whole lap, so they can get the thing out in, 2 minutes and something, or even, they'll even lose a lap rather than losing 2.5 laps. So.
Yeah. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for shedding light on that.
What happens at that point? If Scuderia Praha come in, then it makes sense for the car collection to come in. Because oddly, there's no point being the leader. Because all the time you're ahead of the person behind you is wasted time. So you may as well come in and use that time for fuel or tyres or both. Don't change the driver. You've got 2 laps to do at the end. That's a waste. That's extra risk. Come in, get some fuel, get all the fuel you want. But if the leader comes in, then it makes sense for the second person to come in. And interestingly, it's a kind of a whole concertina effect down to the point where somebody thinks they can stay a lap ahead of everybody.
Well, when Andrew heads down to car collection to ask what that
they might not know yet. Actually,
they may not have made that decision, but they might not know why the team manager has had to report to the race director. But also, he could ask that question whether or not they are going to use that tactic. And I can't, again, you know what? I am not certain that is the tactic to employ.
You're the team manager amongst us. I think it's a real situation where you actually, for once, you actually do need an F1 computer because you need to work out the gaps and the times and everything else to see because it's like, yes, I want to take fuel, but do I want to take all 100 litres I'm allowed to? If that takes X time, no, I'll take 75 litres because that could get me up another lap ahead.
But all that you need to do is just extend your fuel window each time. Just move the fuel window towards that final fuel window.
Yes, but don't forget, there is a possibility for free time at this point. You have free time if you get your pit stop right.
As long as it's not going to drop you down the lap.
But the whole point about it is that if you are a second behind the guy ahead, or 1 minute 40 seconds behind, it's the same. You've got 100 seconds of freeness. Now, unfortunately, with the long in and the long out, you can't do anything in 100 seconds here. So therefore, you have to think, right, I've got a lap in 100 seconds, therefore I've got 200 seconds, which is just about a bit quicker than the best pit stops we've seen. So you think, right, I've got 200 seconds, what can I do in that time? Can I get a full flow? Do I have to sacrifice the fuel? Do I just not do the tyres? What do I do?
Well, you and I can speculate until the cows come home, and we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to wait and see just what the guys who are actually, their job is to do, is to make those decisions.
And I demand everyone watching does applied maths and works it out for me.
Well, yeah, but I still don't think that what we're going to see is maybe how we perceive it's going to be. We've heard that the number 11 Ferrari, the Scuderia Ferrari, is going to pit. Now let's head down to the pits where maybe Andrew has found out whether number 34 is going to do likewise. Andrew, what have you got for us?
No, they're being very guarded indeed here, and I've asked them, and they're not telling me. And also, they're not sure why the clerk of the course called for the team management at 34. They say they haven't had a note or a piece of paper to say what it was about. So I'm sorry, I can't offer you any explanation.
But we
there,
get to see a lovely
being
face on
pretty guarded.
camera, so it's fine.
We've maybe been a little bit premature.
Yes.
I think that, and maybe we'll need to let that just transpire as the number 911 is into the fueling area.
And no longer last.
And no longer, no, he's not. Well, obviously the Vortex has slipped down off the leaderboard.
Getting close to overtaking
bottom of the
someone on
time
pace, actually. The QSR car is prior to this fuel stop was just a lap ahead. Of course, the 911 car, for those of you joining more recently, the Herberth machine had it coming together about 15 minutes in with Matteo Marcelli in the Ferrari, and it's an incident that has been called all three ways as by the same person, actually. Same person it's the Porsche's fault, same person it's the Ferrari's fault, and then it was a racing incident, depending on the angle they saw it at. So there you go.
I think it was a racing incident. Let's have a little bit of a rundown, and you may have to help me out here, Nick, because the screen is so fuzzy.
Okay, so
from here.
to leading, and we have just over 25 minutes to go of the first quarter of this race before the nighttime stop, where the cars go to Parc Fermé, and will be placed lovingly under car covers, probably on the main straight, before they are warmed up tomorrow morning for the start of the restart at 11:30. Though we get here at 11 o'clock for another pit walk. Another grid walk, a kind of a strange grid walk. People are going, well, it's gone like this.
2 helpings of Nick Damon's grid walk.
Who could ask for it? It sounds like 2 helpings of pudding, either far too much and a bit fattening and not something you really want to have. But anyway, with 25 minutes to go, Yuri Prysiak in the Scuderia Praha Ferrari, car number 11 that's leading. He's got a lead of about 45 seconds on the 34 car collection machine, the Audi of Elmar Grimm, who is 53 seconds ahead of Charles Putnam, who's doing brilliantly in the 85 Pro Spec Mercedes. Really got to grips with that car now in its third outing. 56 seconds back from the Pro Speed is Dimitri Engelbert in the 17, the E-Dex Sport Mercedes. Great run by Dimitri. A slightly off-kilter strategy for them after an early problem with a unbalanced set of tyres, a dodgy set of tyres, a rooty set of tyres, which Paul Lafargue brought in. In 5th place now, it's Željko Drmić from the Fork Racing Porsche. They are running again a different strategy again. They had Robert Lucas not going as fast as he could do in the first stint because he was saving fuel. They're saving fuel again, looking to see what they can do by effectively eliminating pit stops later in the day. That actually won't start to really play into advantage till about 7 hours into tomorrow's section, but it's an interesting concept. Christoph Lons in the 15, the Swiss team Mercedes. That car was running second for the whole of the first hour. Let's drop down to 6th. Christoph not shown quite the same amount of speed as Mauro Calamia, but in fairness, it's also these cars are very, very tightly packed together, and there's a lot of things that can happen in the next few minutes regarding pit stops. We could change all that around. Chantal Kroll, the number 1 car, the Hoffer Racing Machine, is running in 7th. Took over the car when Christian Frankenhoop brought it in after a fantastic first stint. Led from the flag, led for the whole of exactly 2 hours, but we think made a mistake not coming in under a code 60. Now, just so you know, it actually, Yuri Prysiak is leading in Pro, Elmar Grimm is leading at A6 AM, Putnam second in AM, then Engelbert is second in Pro, Drmić is third in Pro, Christoph Lons is third in AM. So there's actually 9 A6s there in AM and Pro, but it's easy to count all together. Isaac Tumlu is running in 5th in AM and 8th overall in the 33 car collection Audi. That car suffered from a bit of an off earlier with just after he got in the car, he spun it. In the classes, it's the 73 EB Motors with Marco Fezzer in the car? Yeah, Marco Fezzer in the car. He is leading the 991 class by the thick end of 2 laps, actually, from the Porsche the IDEC Porsche, the 75 car, which has David Abramich in it at the moment. In the SBX class, that's led by the True Racing KTM. It's 1 from 2. It's 116 and 117. So it's KTM from KTM. 116 is leading with Ferdinand Stuck, and second place is the aptly named Takis, who has an unbelievably complicated a Greek name, which actually Andrew has told me he can pronounce, but we'll have to find out later. He does know how to say Takis' name properly. I saw him in the lunch area, and in his name on his fireproof overall was 4.5 feet long. It was amazing, which is why he goes under the name of Takis. And in the other class, which is GT4, it's the 446 machine of Endurance Team Romania. Currently, that has Fabrizio Borghi in it, which is leading by 5 laps, from the 254, the still running in QSR Racing School Mercedes, which currently is enjoying Raphael Van? No, it's running with 254, is running with Michael Verheerden is in that car. And we now have 21 minutes to go, and Pisiak not in yet, and leading by just about 45 seconds to a minute from Elmar Grimm.
A minute and 3 seconds it was.
Oh, I haven't glanced at that gap for about 4 laps.
It's chilly out there now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got cooled right off. What's the term for it when the air goes cooler, the engines come on a song?
Fat.
The old drag races used to call it fat.
It's called the not the glory hour.
The golden hour.
Golden hour. Is it the golden hour?
That's normally
the golden hour is in the morning.
Yeah, no, it's not the golden hour. It's when, it's when the air gets thicker and you just get a little bit more boost out the engine and stuff, and the engine breathes a little better because the air's thicker. There's more.
Certainly got
the old drag racing guys used to call it fat air. They used to do the measurement in the days before all of the electronic measurements, and you were setting up a car to run on carburetors. You would have a bell jar.
Really?
And what you would do is you would put the bell jar in and put a naked flame in, and time how long it took for it to go out, so that it has used all the oxygen in the air.
That's amazing.
And depending on how high you were, the altitude, the humidity, etc., how hot the air was, it'd be a different time on the stopwatch. And when it burned the longest time, the old drag racers used to turn the wick right up because the air was fat, and the more air, the more oxygen there was in the air, the more fuel you could burn.
Would they rejet it based on that as well?
Yes.
That's what you meant.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what that was.
Just quickly, third place has changed round, and Dimitri Engelbert, the EDEX Sport car, has just gone past Charles Putnam in the Pro Spec, though of course that hasn't affected the classes because they're in different classes. Pro car for Engelbert and an AM car for Putnam in the Pro Spec.
And speaking of Charles Putnam, in the pits with the 85 team is Andrew Marriott.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting in a chair with Joe Foster down here, but I was just going to tell you that Takis is Panagiotis Spiliopoulos, and he used to race for the Black Falcon Mercedes team in the past. But so I say it once more, Panagiotis Spiliopoulos. Let me go over to Joe Foster. I haven't got a camera at the moment, but I'd still be interested to get some words with Joe. Joe, it's going pretty well. Oh, we have got a camera. Look, that's great. He's always on the ball, that boy.
Okay.
Going pretty well for you.
Yeah, so far so good. I think we're still just trying to figure out who's got what fuel left at the end right now. We're planning for tomorrow and just to try to put ourselves in the best position to be on the lead lap for our class anyway, which I think we will be. Charlie's doing a great job.
What is the plan for you? Are you going to come in or are you going to go to the end now?
Well, I think we might try to gamble and see what happens and try to go to the end.
Yeah, because we're not sure the two cars in front of you. We know that the Ferrari will come in, they've told us that, but
Right.
Car Collection won't tell us what they're going to do.
Yeah, and honestly, we're trying to figure it out too, based on what some of the other cars do. So we have a couple of Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. We'll see what happens.
Well, the next 20 minutes is so going to be exciting. Thanks very much, Joe. But you're having a good run.
Thanks, so appreciate it.
Joe Foster from the 85 Mercedes. I still.
It's easy to do that, mate. It's because
Pro Sport have run Porsche for so long.
That's right, because Pro Sport Porsche, it's Pro Sport Porsche, Pro Sport Porsche.
It's Pro Sport
Pro Sport Mercedes. It's like you've got to stop and then start again when you get to the M, haven't you? You know.
It should be Pro Sport Performance. How well they're doing at the moment.
Pro Sport Performance for Porsche.
Because if you think about the first two races, they had some real problems in Dubai. I think they had an accident. I think Adam had an unfortunate accident early on, and they also had issues at the start of the race in Silverstone, where I think it was Charlie Putnam who went up the backside of Stuart Hall in the eventual winning car.
Yeah, you're right.
But damaged it early on, and they sort of trundled round off that relatively competitors, but not showing any great form. This is a gentleman, well, a good gentleman driver team, all three of them. So you don't expect them to. But this time they've looked way on the pace. In qualifying, they were only a few tenths off. And it does seem like, as John has said again, this track does seem to suit good gentleman drivers.
It's a bit of a gestation period of taking on a completely different car. And a completely different car, front-engine Mercedes AMG GT.
Very surprising move, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not really, because that's the car to have in GT3.
Do you think so? I mean, the other car to have is the Porsche. Would it not be more obvious to upgrade to the 99, the GT3 version?
I see what you mean. They came from the 991 Cup class.
Yeah.
They're familiar with Porsche.
Problem is that Porsche GT3 car is from a different philosophy than the new generation. It was too late and it still isn't the finished article, that 991.
Okay.
And as much as I love Porsches, they were very, very late into the game with GT3, and unusually for Porsche, they didn't use that time wisely. I'm not sure that Herbert proved us wrong, and the guys at Porsche are doing a decent job, but other than Manthey, really,
you may have to have that experience under your belt to be able to make the car work.
Yeah.
And know all the tricks of the trade that they've evolved, that they've gathered and accrued over the years that they've run Porsches.
So, in my
championships.
layman's idea, right, you kind of go from a 991 Cup car and you get in the GT3. It's just the same thing, but a bit more. You know, it's like going from your 1.6 to your 2 litre. You know, but obviously the look on your face is making me out to be the most awful person ever for saying that.
No, that's a good point you make, and the logical thought process would be that, and it's just got a little bit more aero, and it's got a little bit, the Cup car's completely different.
Cup car's quite hard to drive, particularly in full Cup car spec, because it doesn't have ABS. But if you can drive a Cup car, you can probably drive any other Porsche, and almost always you can drive pretty much anything else. Just because you can't drive a Porsche Cup car doesn't mean you're a bad driver. There are some very, very good drivers who never got on with Porsches in any shape or form, but particularly I think of well-established drivers who have done guest drives in Porsche Carrera Cup and Super Cup down through the years and were really pretty average. But that I'm not saying that to be rude and nasty. I'm saying it because it takes a particular talent. Andrew, you'll have seen that as well down through the years.
Yeah, but got to remember, these 3 guys are really front-engine racers. Remember, most of their success over 5 or 6 years came in the Mazda RX-8. And then Charles Espinal and Joe Foster spent a lot of time as instructors with Panos. So they're used to having the engine in the front. So it's probably going back to home for them.
Yeah, that's true. And when they first went to Porsche, of course, they went to a Cayman. They raced a Cayman at the Nürburgring, the Nordschleife.
Yeah, but who's the engineer?
Yeah.
You know, we talk about drivers, but really the drivers just press pedals and turn the wheel. The engineering aspect, using the feedback from the drivers, using the data, and looking at how to get the car to work, it's all about that. So it's not just the 3 drivers, but the 3 drivers and the engineer, and it depends on how good an engineer you have, especially when you take on a fresh car, a brand new car.
I think we might need to move our comms box tomorrow down to the hospitality tent because they've got way better time and scoring than we have.
And coffee.
Yeah.
And food.
Yeah.
And carb-free Red Bull, believe it or not.
Oh, you must have been in heaven. Interestingly, the people who are getting towards the end of the session and started, we've got 3 cars in the fuel stop. They're all from the lower end of the overrunning order, including the leader in GT4, the 446 Ginetta, and then we've got a couple of, we've got the IDEC Sport Porsche, the 75, which is currently ranked 4th in 991, and the QSR race ranked 5th in 991. So they'll be taking a big slug of fuel to start tomorrow nice and fat.
IDEC Sport 991 Porsche, the dark grey car in the pit lane.
Just said that.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right. Very sorry.
That's okay.
So's the number 11 Ferrari, the leader.
That's far more important.
Into the fueling area. There he goes into the fueling area.
Turn left here. And stops. Now this is a car that does have a quick filler on it, but of course they can't use the quick filler.
That's the vent.
So the guy on the left-hand side of the car is putting in what is effectively an air bottle to allow the escaping air out. Otherwise, you get an airlock and you can't fill the
Which is what you sometimes get on your road car, isn't it?
Yeah, you just give it a bit of a knock with your hip and let it gurgle a bit.
Turn it through 180 on my Merc.
Well, it's worse with diesel, of course, because diesel fumes, foams,
yeah.
And then it backs up and makes it click. Oh,
we knew it was coming. We knew it was coming because our roving reporter down in the pits, Andrew Marriott, asked the question, and he was told the truth because the Scuderia Praha team have brought that car in. That's allowed Elmar Grimm to go ahead and into the lead of this race.
When did the pits close?
Good point. I don't know.
10 minutes before the end of the race, or 15?
No, I thought it was about 3 or 5.
No.
The regs are to your left.
I'll check it. You commentate, I'll check.
All right. There was just about 12 minutes left. 13 minutes.
It's not going to be in this.
Why?
Because it wasn't a split race then.
Very valid point.
That
yes.
is a valid point. That is a valid point.
Unless it's hangover. Of course, when these breaks were printed, we were going 12 hours straight through.
True. So talk amongst yourselves, everyone, while we
trying to find out the pit shot.
I wonder who could answer that question. Who I can actually contact.
The intervention rule breaks are not applicable for this event.
Oh, there you go. Dimitri Engelbert is into the pits in the number 17.
I think that is exactly what Nick was saying earlier on. If the 11 comes in, the 17 might as well come in because it'll end up on the same lap afterwards. Elmar Grimm, by the way, has been doing fantastic times. He's really, this is one of his best drives I've seen him do. He's been within a couple of tenths either way of the guys around him, and you know, that's all you can ask. Tremendously consistent. Anything between a mid 42 to a mid 43 in general running, and that is right in the window. So those guys are going to lose the lead lap. Now, one of the things we've got to be careful of is A6 Pro and A6 Am are two separate classes. So it's about being on the right lap with the right one of your A6s, isn't it?
Yes, because as we found out before, the timing is clever enough to actually do it per class.
Correct.
But before we thought some person's got stuck the wrong side of the leader, but it's the leader of a different class, and they're not back timed against the leader of a different class.
Correct.
So we've a couple of times been caught out in that way, thinking, oh, he's lost 2 laps, and then he's only lost a lap because he's got it back.
That's
thanks
right,
to
yeah.
Time Systems NL being cleverer than us.
And Isaac Tutumalu is about to go through. The pit lane is close. It was 10 minutes. He's about to go through and take Chantel Kroll's 7th position away.
Now
as out goes the number 11.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
So that looked like there was tyres going on in the background there. I heard the air wrenches, didn't see it, but heard it.
Is Andrew down there with the Ferrari? What's happening? Is
Andrew
the changing drivers?
No driving. There's no point in changing the driver.
No, there isn't
you
really.
can do that for free overnight. New set of Hankooks, I reckon, on that 11 Ferrari, Andrew.
Absolutely spot on. That's exactly what happened. Very quick stop. They got on very quickly indeed. I didn't actually time it. It was no more than 17, 18 seconds, and that car's back in the race.
So just a new set of rubber and brimmed full for that, or at least the full allowance for Yuri
Not a quick stop. 4 minutes and 2.
That's not bad.
Well, we
it's about right.
3:26, didn't we, from Chantal Kroll?
It's about right.
Yes, but Chantal didn't have to take full fuel because Chantal didn't have to take full fuel because it was on a half stint from
45 minutes,
Christian.
Yeah.
That's about right, that, Nick. 4 minutes. So we now know that the number 34 car collection Audi is not going to pit, and the other team that we were speculating is the car in second place, now that being the number 85 Pro Sport Mercedes. Charles Putman at the wheel still. Zico Durmich in the Porsche moves up into third in the number 29, and the number 15 car is the Mercedes of the Swiss team. Christopher Lenz at the wheel of that in fourth. Isaac Tutumalu in the other car collection Audi, car 33, now up into fifth. And the early leader from the pole position, the number 1 Hofer Mercedes, Chantal Kroll at the wheel of that car, now into sixth. The number 11 Ferrari has popped out in seventh, and behind them is the number 17 EDEC Mercedes of Dimitri Engelbert.
Did you say that Tutumalu's gone through there?
Yes, he's gone through into fifth,
right.
yeah. And we've got now the True Racing KTM, the number 116 in ninth overall, heading the SPX class ahead of the sister car, the 117, with Takis at the wheel of that, and then the 991 class being led by the number 65 Porsche.
They've both gone past the leading 991 Porsche then in the last 20 minutes.
The interesting thing is the Fork Racing Porsche, the orange and black machine, is 1 minute 40 seconds ahead of Yuri Przysiak. So he's within 2 or 3 seconds of putting that lap on it. If he doesn't get the lap, then they'll start 2 yards apart tomorrow, 2 meters apart tomorrow.
Yeah.
And time is ticking by, just under 7 minutes now.
Elmar Grimm now can't come into the pits, so they have to go 6.5 minutes to the end. He's only been in that car collection Audi for an hour. Now, he's been in the car an hour. Has he done that full hour out there, or was no? They've only done 2 pit stops.
Yeah, so Max went through with a splash and dash.
With a splash.
And then they did a full service for Elmar. Elmar's, it was last time I looked, 1 minute and 2 seconds ahead of Charles, so that'll go back to 2 meters again tomorrow with the Pro Spec Mercedes.
So is that car going to go off? Tracker's run out of battery. So the Charlie Putman car is on
the lead lap.
On the lead lap, yeah.
1 minute and 2 behind, so quite happy for the next 3 laps.
How many do we reckon's on the lead lap then?
I think because on AM,
there's still on the lead.
No, there's 2 cars in AM on the lead lap, and then the Christophe Lance, the Isaac Tumen and the Chantal Croix are a lap behind tomorrow, from my calculations. Then in Pro, they're
a lap behind the AM.
Yep, they're a lap behind the AM, but the Pro car is on leading in that lap, and
lap 94.
And Europe is currently just on the same lap.
Right.
And what's the lap times at the is Jeko quicker, 44.9, and what's Yuri doing? 46.4. Well, he's on cold tyres, of course. Can't afford. They must be close together on the track, actually. But it'd be nice to see the next time they go through. I'll have a look out the window. Or Joe will do that. He's going to go and get a tracker, he says. The 29 and the 11. Let me see if I can find those guys as they go past the window. It is getting quite dull again now. Temperature has dropped. Elmar Grimm leads for car collection, motorsport and for Audi, and is pushing along very nicely. The question mark for me then is they've got to keep Yuri Pisharik on that lead lap in Pro. Going to be 1 lap off the lead. If he drops 2 laps off the lead lap and the leader goes between them, what happens?
It has to be the leader in his class. I actually think he might be off the lead lap. I just need to work this one out, because it's Zeko who's leading now.
Zeko hasn't come through yet.
So, but no, he's just on it still.
He's just on the end of the lap. Is he 2 laps?
Yeah, 11. He's just ahead of 29 going down the main straight now.
Right,
So
and where's the 34? The 34's close to putting another lap on the pair of them.
Wouldn't happen the next 5 minutes, so...
It might. He's taken 2 seconds a lap out of them, Nick, and he's not more than 4 or 5 seconds behind. So there's a couple of things we've got to keep an eye on here. They've just gone across the line. Here's the leader now.
It's certainly 29 and 11 where the interest is, whether he can get another lap
Going
on
up
him.
towards turn 5 at the moment. The bright orange Porsche number 29 is behind the Ferrari, and just behind them coming through turn 3 is the 34 car. So, you know, it looks like, oh, let's just cruise to the line here, but there's an awful lot going on right now, and Pisaric must get the hurry up from the guys in the pit lane. He did a 43.2 last time around, and Zeko, well, he did a 44.8, so that's good. That's what they have to keep doing. But the leader, Elmar Grimm, did a 43. So, you know, he is catching them. Tutumalu is the fast guy at the minute, 42.3 last time around. But he's not going to get back on the lead lap. Let me see where he is. Oh, is he? Where's the 33? On there. There he is. He's just coming through turn 4 now, and the lead is at turn 11. So, no, that's not going to happen unless there's a mistake.
Well, Pisaric is lapping around about the same time as the leader, Elmar Grimm. So I don't think he's going to put a lap on him, that's for sure.
Ange Lebert's just done a 41.1. That car's fastest lap of the race, down in 8th position. He's on his 96th lap and will complete in a second. So he's going to be only 1 lap off the lead as well, I reckon.
He is almost a lap down to the number 11 Ferrari ahead of him. So he's got a lot of ground to make up.
doesn't matter.
He gets that back.
That's
for
right,
free.
he gets that back in the morning, yeah.
It's where he is compared to leader. And he's got Chantal Kroll behind him. Has he just overtaken Chantal Kroll?
He possibly has.
No,
not
he's
on
a
the
lap
road.
back.
Not on the road. He's a lap back. Yeah.
But it's not, of course. He's just behind her when we start going.
Yeah. So they've done really well. The 17 car, after having a horrible start where they came in, remember, the E-Deck guys came in after half an hour with a set of tyres that their opening driver didn't like. And in fairness, the car was moving around quite a lot. Elmar Grimm has one lap at the end of this one.
Has he?
Yes. He'll get round. He's in the he's done the first sector. He's in the second sector, so he should do it.
He's heading down the back straight now towards turn 9. Just turning into turn 9 now. And there's 55 seconds on the clock. He's got the very tight complexes of the
infield. Sense if he actually slowed right down now.
Yeah, he could do, couldn't he?
And came over. Otherwise, he's just going to use an extra lap of food.
Well, he's got 40 seconds to soak up. There's a bit too much there. He has got a minute gap between himself, so he could park it and wait for the 85 car to come through. 25 seconds.
Yeah. Now you push. You push just in case somebody has a problem on their last lap. He's got a clear track ahead of him now.
Yeah, crosses the line now with about, what, 10 seconds to go there?
I'd say that.
Less than that.
So, effectively the white flag, last lap board has gone out to the leader. He acknowledged the official on the wall. Now, keep it clean. Has to keep it clean. This is not good news, of course, for Pisarik, is it? Because that's an extra lap he's got to do. He did a 42.7. Actually, he's picked up his pace. He has picked up his pace. He knew he had to. So he's going to do enough. What about the 17? Ange Lebert. He will finish on 96, 97. He's going to finish on 98 laps. So Elmar Grimm is going to finish at the end of lap 100 completed. As is Charles Putnam, as is the 29 Porsche. Where's the 29?
Coming through 11.
In relation to the 34.
34's behind him.
Just behind him,
they're on the lead lap.
He's just got himself back on the lead lap
And the
again.
15's going to be all right as well.
No, the 15's...
No, 15's going to be fine. Look, 15 is ahead of the leader. So he's going to finish.
It. He's the last car.
He's the
Why
last
is 29 and 15 right together when they were 30? What's happened? That's weird.
So here's the leader coming to complete. Ahead of him, the 29 and the 15 will go on to their...
The 29 and the 15 are actually racing.
Yes, they are.
Let's see what the gap is across the line. It was 3 seconds last time by. And we're talking about the number 29 Dimitri-driven Porsche.
And there they go onto lap 9. Oh, and he spawned, the leader spawned on the final corner of the final lap of the first part of the race. It's not going to make a blind bit of difference, but it got us excited.
It would have got us really excited if he'd stalled the car.
If he couldn't have got it started.
Yeah.
That's one heck of a finish,
Elmar.
Elmar Grimm, value for money. Just when we were talking about someone else and someone else's race, he decides...
He's thinking about what he's having for his dinner, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think that may have been the definition of a lapse of concentration.
Yeah, there it is.
I finished. Oh, no, I haven't.
So I reckon we've got four cars on the lead lap.
Do you think 3 of the AMs are on there, do you?
I think we've got 4 laps on the overall lead lap. He just come out of the final corner and just he touched the inside curb on the right-hand side. He's lucky not to get picked up by the E-Deck Porsche as it came through, the 75 car. But he doesn't panic, puts it into gear, don't do the drive shaft by revving the whatnots off it.
Battle on track for 3rd place, guys. 29, still got 15 behind it.
I think 15's just got ahead of him,
I think he might have just done that. Coming through towards turn 13 now.
It's all about where they finish across the line.
They're in different classes, though, so...
Yeah, I know, but it's just which side of the track they'll start. Did he touch the curb? No, he didn't, you know. He just lit the back tyres up, Elmar Grimm. So, as they come through, here's how they'll start tomorrow, and you can get it all live here on RS1. It will be Car Collections Audi on pole, having completed 100 laps. also on 100 laps. The 85 will start outside on pole. The 29 will start on the inside of the second row.
15 will.
15 did get him on the last lap.
Yeah.
Okay, 15 will start on the inside of the second row, and the 29 will start on the outside. All of those 4 cars have completed 100 laps.
The thing is that they have historically restarted all the pros together at the front and then all the AMs next.
Regardless of how many laps they've done.
Regardless of how many laps they were, and regardless of where they were overall. Now, obviously, this is a bit weird this time because we've got the AMs leading, which hasn't happened before. But they don't regroup them as a group of A6. They do sub-split them and put the whole A6 Pros and then the A6 AMs, which would be a bit unfair for Elma not to start from pole. But that would be how it's been done before in split races with the classes.
First cars off the lead lap. Isaac Tutumulu, God, he must have been pretty close to getting back on the lead lap there in the car collection Audi number 33. He will finish on 99 laps in what position? He's 4th in Ham. Then 5th in Ham. Chantal Kroll stayed ahead of Jiri Pischerik by about 23 seconds, but she is a lap off her class lead. In fact, there's only one pro car in there, isn't there? That's the 29. And then further down, Pischerik will be in 7th, and there's the confirmation. Forget all of the times. 34 car collection, 85 pro performance. In the top 3 A6 AM all did 100 laps. The A6 Pro Force Racing also did 100 laps. They will all start on 100 laps tomorrow. Starting on 99 laps tomorrow, the A6 AMs of 5th position car collection Motorsport, Hoffa Racing Mercedes, and the Bohemia Energy Racing Scuderia Praha A6 4 car, the number 11. You know what? I still think that if the one car had pitted under the,
I think you're right.
Under the code 60, they'd have been on the lead lap.
Yep.
They would have been.
No question.
Yeah, they'd have been about
No question.
110 behind. I reckon it would gain a minute.
The time they lost getting Frankenhout out is easier later.
There is actually a weird question about this.
Go on.
To talk about if the A6 Pro of 29 Zeho Drimic is on pole with 100 laps, Jiri Pišiak is not a lap behind that car, but was stopped by the fact that the AM leader got in between them. So actually, he should be awarded 100 laps as well, even though he hasn't done them.
But that was my question. Is it your leader or the overall leader?
No, it's supposed to be the all leader. It's really confusing, this bit. We'll have to see what the starting grid is tomorrow as far as the laps are concerned.
Speak to Rob.
Because Yuri's not a lap, but was not a lap behind the Fork Racing team, but he would officially at the moment start a lap behind.
That's correct.
He's 30.43. He's 73 seconds plus whatever Tutumulu was behind.
No, it's about 16 seconds there before you get to 140. So about 18 seconds to get the start of that lap, plus 43. So it's about a minute. It's about a minute behind.
Okay. At the top of the class in SPX with a lap lead in his class, 116, the KTM Cross Pro from its leading from its second place teammate. In 991 we have to go onto the second page of the timing screen, and it will be the EB Motors. Oh, they got closed down at the end, didn't they? Down to just 3 seconds and 10 seconds for the next two in the category, the two Lorient Racing cars. The Huber Racing car, I think, is off the lead lap. Yes, it is in 991. And in GT4, the Endurance Team Romania G55 GT4 has 3 laps on the QSR Racing School machine. In second place. Herbert Motorsport with the early stoppage of the 204 Vortex, and we wait news on whether that car will be allowed back into the race after repairs tomorrow, after very heavy damage to the left rear. Herbert back inside the top 20, 13 laps off the leader of the race, and however still 4th in its category. That's the rundown. Let's have a word with Elmar Grimm, whose car will start on pole position. Tremendous run for him. I can hear you perfectly, Andrew. Go ahead.
Okay, Elmer. We're right on the end of our signal here, so I'm just trying to pull Elmer closer to the pit.
Andrew, you're absolutely fine. We can hear you perfectly. So,
yeah. Wow, a fabulous drive. You're leading the race, but what happened to the last corner?
After the das heißt Ziel, after the finish line, it's not allowed to make a donut, so I do it before.
You were doing some for a gentleman driver, a hotel owner, you were doing some great lap times.
Thank you. The car was very, very good. Thanks on car collection, it was very good. From the first round to the last round, very good.
What's the situation with your tyres now for tomorrow's start?
So, I think the tyres are now not more so good. I hope I have to go 10, 12, 30 rounds and then I get new tyres.
You sleep well tonight?
Yes, I sleep very good. I think when we are on the first position, I have to sleep very good.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Elmar Grimm has done a belting job, an absolutely belting job.
There's the kid who's done the belting job as well, Max Edelhoff.
Do you not feel that if you told him this morning that he was going to be leading, he would say it was a fairy tale?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being with us. It's been a change of the procedure today as far as the timings have been concerned. We have 9 hours still to come tomorrow. I hope you'll want to join us for that. It'll be all live here in sound and vision from Navarra on RS1, part of the Radio Show Limited network of programmes, and of course on the series website and Radio Le Mans for the vision. We'll leave you with a few highlights for those of you watching, for those of you in sound only. Thanks for being with us. Make sure you're back in plenty of time tomorrow. Run to pole position for tomorrow's restart by Car Collection Motorsports. Max Edelhoff and Elmar Grimm doing exactly what they needed to do. Get back with us tomorrow for the final 9 hours of the 12 that we were expecting all day tomorrow. Change of schedule, but the Hankook 24-hour GT series continues here at the Circuit of Navarra, and Nick Damon, Joe Bradley, Andrew Marriott and me, John Hindorf, will be here to bring it to you. Have a great evening wherever you are in the world from Navarra. For the moment, at least, a very good night. Buenas noches.